One. Okay, I have thoughts, 5:55.
So that definitely have a mock-up of that.
I will,
Yeah.
just preliminarily see
It could look great
for order.
You know,
Well, it's what was originally there. Item of
We can get a mock-up
business,
of that, no
Board of
problem.
Architectural
And as
Review
far as the
procedures.
build out, I've had my.
So there had been some confusion over the chairmanship of this board and over board appointments and seats. I've asked Jared
There may
to
be a reason they
produce a
took them
memo
off,
for us.
yeah.
It's possible.
First
You know, it's
regarding
not bad
seat
for us.
assignment.
Can I ask you a question,
by
Ryan?
administration.
So there are many different scales.
Clarification on those seats. Board members had reached out on October 2nd, asking about how that decision was made, and we hadn't received guidance. Jared has communicated that they're working on that, and will produce that for the board. Second in that memo, there are 3 points that I would like addressed specifically regarding my chairmanship. Item 1, procedures for altering the configuration of the board. Item 2, the mayor's unilateral power to alter the confirmed configuration of the board without a vote of the trustees. And item 3, all administrative remedies that must be exhausted to challenge the mayor's conduct. Jared, what's an ample amount of time for you to produce that memo for us?
Mr. Chairman, I think this is part and parcel of other research we had done to have a better answer for you. Some of this work may have already been completed sometime later this week, if that's okay.
That would be great. Anytime before the next meeting would be wonderful. Thank you. Does anyone have questions or need for clarification? No? Okay. In that case, I'd like to, we can't really do public comment if Zoom is out, can we?
No, and also, I just received an email from counsel to Genesis about his efforts to dial in by Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reaching out to him by email now. Is there a way of having multi-party teleconferences, John?
You know, I'm not familiar on how to do that with the phone. I'm sorry. Unless his client wants to use their phone
On speaker, would that
on
be,
speaker.
would you feel comfortable with that?
Sure.
Does that work for you, Jared?
It's really between the applicant and the applicant's counsel.
Okay, if you guys are comfortable, we can do that. What is your preference?
Perhaps we take just a moment's recess while to allow Miss Genesis's the applicant to reach out to her attorney and confirm that's a possibility.
Okay. So I'll call a recess for a few minutes and we'll reconvene.
They cannot get you in, so I'm using my own phone to get you in a video.
Thank you. My question
Would you,
is
Not yet, not yet, okay.
available to hear me?
Sorry, no, I'm going to have her come closer. We can't quite hear you.
Is the chairperson available to hear me?
Yes, we can all hear you now.
Why doesn't the Zoom work, and why couldn't I get involved before?
If I could answer that, we'd be on Zoom right now. Our IT department was unable.
You're the
Excuse me.
chairperson.
I'm
There's a
speaking,
record
sir.
That should be taken. Why aren't you protecting the record, Mr.
We are protecting the record, sir. We are recording on a recording device. We have you on the phone and our lawyer on counsel as well as a member of the press present to document it.
No, you did not answer my question. Why wasn't I able to? Don't do that with your eyes. Don't look away from me, okay? It's all on recording. Why wasn't the Zoom available before when I could watch the other issues?
Could we get IT on the phone, please, to
Mr.
answer
Lynch,
that question?
Mr. Lynch, this is Jared Castro. I too am having difficulty getting in by Zoom. The village had technical difficulties. I'm participating by phone too. I just sent an email to you. We just started the meeting a few moments ago to talk about item 1 on the agenda, which is Board of Architectural Review procedures. We have not yet started any discussion with respect to your application.
Counsel, I thank you for that, but there is no excuse for why not me able to watch what went on before that. Because what went on before helps me to understand what's taking place now. And the chairman should not look away in disgust like he does.
To note for the record, the phone where my counsel is to the right, and that is where I'm looking.
Mr. Chairman, respect people and don't be arrogant.
Okay.
Look at that. Don't look
Mr.
at
Lynch,
that. Give me that
Sir.
critical look,
Mr. Lynch,
Chairman.
Mr. Lynch, there hasn't been any video.
Jared, could you please interject here?
Yeah,
Mr. Lynch, there hasn't been any video. There hasn't been any video.
Speak to people respectively. I urge you to do that.
Thank you for your comment.
No, your comment, you are
Okay.
looking at people.
So here's what's not going to happen. We are going to have a civil discourse here. We are not engaging in arguing back and forth like this. Thank
I'm
you.
not arguing. I'm stating for the
Okay.
record, you're looking away. in an
I am
arrogant
looking
way.
towards the phone where my
You're not
counsel
dealing with
is.
the public.
Okay.
Mr. Lynch, I don't have video either.
Don't do this. You
I'm
did it
participating
before. You cut me
telephonically.
off. Don't do this again.
Okay.
Okay,
It
yeah.
is on-
Take your pen
okay,
out
yeah.
and do
I
this
will.
like it's okay.
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 Are we ready to continue?
I hope you will in the proper way.
Wonderful.
Thank you
First,
for your compliment.
okay, I'm speaking. Thank you.
Come on, guys. It's hard enough for me to hear when this is going back and forth. Can we please just get to the business of this?
Thank you. Item
I
one.
hope we can be-
Item one on the agenda for Genesis Real Estate Partners is the air conditioning and heat pump units. At our last meeting, you requested more time to come up with a solution. Have you been able to do so? We haven't received any plans indicating that.
I'll give you the answer. At the last meeting, you raised issues that were not there. I gave your attorneys all the information you needed on the essential subjects. Are you ready to decide this, yes or no?
Jared, can you please explain the board's purview on alterations to the exterior as well as on these air conditioning units in particular?
Mr. Chairman, I
Excuse
didn't
me.
ask you to defer. I asked you for an answer.
It is
Are you
I have the
going
right to
go
defer to
yes or no?
counsel, sir. That's
Don't
not your
give me
decision to
this,
tell me
please.
what to
You're
do.
a phony. You're a phony,
Okay,
Chairman.
I will not
Mr.
result in
Mr.
name
Mr.
calling.
Lynch, that's unnecessary, Mr.
It's
Lynch.
unnecessary.
Question, will you
It is
decide the
completely
resolution, yes or
unnecessary
no?
for you to have that kind of commentary. We're trying to get to the village's business, the bar's business. If you please allow us to do that. To answer your question,
I hope
Mr.
you can,
Chairman,
without
the-
the side remarks and the gestures by the chairperson. This is all being recorded and will be transcribed for the court proceeding? Oh, okay, just got cut off.
I'm sorry.
I just got cut off.
Would it
I'm
make
back.
more sense
I
to
hear
be
you-
in the
I
shade of
hear
there
you
so
fine.
they can hear each other a little easier?
Sure. Okay.
And then that way I'm looking towards the both of you.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, get to a vote.
Jared, could you please raise those points that I asked so we're all on the same page over the board's purview of this area?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The issue is squarely before the BAR. Air conditioning condensers as well as mechanical equipment fall squarely within the written guidelines that the BAR has promulgated and the village has approved. And it also falls within, section 100-54 of the village code, which talks about the criteria that falls within the BAR's review. So, to Mr. Lynch's point, he appears to be asking this board for a vote on the remaining issues, so long as their application is complete and the procedures that are set forth in section 100-53 of the code have been complied with, and we're up to that point.
Okay,
Um,
thank you. So we haven't received any,
May I add
excuse
something,
me.
please?
Sure, go ahead.
I respectfully disagree with your counsel on the issue of the AC units and the issue of the generator. The board has no jurisdiction to decide what's safe or not safe. Thank you.
Okay, that's your right to disagree. So we
No,
have
I'm
not
disagreeing.
received, excuse
I'm
me,
stating things to the record.
I'm speaking, thank you. We haven't received any updated plans. Would you
We
like
did.
a...
We gave you updated
Sir,
plan.
I am speaking, thank you. Since our last
We
meeting,
gave you updated
since our
Mr.
last
Mr. Lynch.
meeting,
things
Please,
that
please.
aren't true.
Mr. Lynch, this is not public comment.
since our last meeting, we have not received an updated plan.
That's
Would you...
incorrect. We have submitted the plan before August 15.
Somebody,
So
And
as
we
I
want you
said,
to
since
vote
our
on
last
that
meeting, we
because
have had a meeting
We send you also comment back saying that there's no updated plan because after we consult with engineer, they made it clear.
Okay.
it's for that
So there's not
unit
been
to
an
function.
updated plan submitted since our last meeting. Would you
We-
like more time
Mr. Lynch,
No.
Mr. Lynch, listen
Excuse
to
me.
people.
I would like to
Don't be-
finish my
don't be
sentence. I've been
derogating
very
people's
patient. I
comments.
cannot get a
You are
single
very
question out.
disrespectful to the public.
Interrupting people is
Don't
disrespectful.
laugh. Don't laugh. You're laughing at that. That is terribly bad to laugh at that.
Okay. Would you prefer more time to
No,
come up with a
I
solution?
want the
or
decision now.
Okay, you'd like us to take a vote now?
Yes.
Great. So I'd like to propose a vote on the air conditioning units as they still are. The plans that we have received, they are not in compliance with our design guidelines. You do not have a plan to update those, so we'll be taking a vote on them as they currently are.
Can I just be reminded?
What are your design guidelines? What are your design guidelines? Show me the
Mr.
design
Mr. Lynch,
Those have been
Mr. Lynch,
provided
let's
and
just
they're publicly
allow
available on their
another
Tuxedo website.
board member to speak. Because,
Can I just be reminded why they're not conforming the air conditioning and heat pump? Are we talking about just the air conditioning or the air conditioning and heat pump units?
They're one and the same unit,
Okay.
so they're the 8 units that are on the facade that are not installed to code and have pieces hanging off the facade. Those 8. We had discussed moving several of them to a platform, similar to the St. Regis Hotel she had mentioned, to keep the facade intact. Plans to follow through with that have not been submitted.
the thing is that, as I emailed you and before, is the engineers of the opinion because of the slope, so that if you put it just on the front floor, first of all, you have to be 2 feet above the ground, which means that you have to have a concrete background, and then you have to have a sort of like a weird looking piece, like if this is a platform, you have to have a concrete like this, like a narrow piece, so that you won't, if it's a flat piece, the snow gonna get into the unit, and then the thing gonna sit on top of that. And I don't know how aesthetic that will create. Then what is the simple solution right now? Is hanging to the wall, and then we have provided plan to use all the greens to cover it up, so that nobody can see that. Yeah.
From where I sit, even in the Castle Keep or the Village Keep, as you come in, there is a very similar unit already there, installed in a very similar configuration. So I have a hard time.
It's not on a facade, it's exactly what I'm suggesting, what we as a board have suggested doing in putting it on a pad behind the structure. I think that would be an acceptable solution, how
Isn't
that's
it on
installed.
the facade?
It's not on the building, it is several feet back next to the machinery for the,
That's the
gate
engineering
control.
requirement for the thing to be is on the lower surface area of the,
Right.
and then
It would be
it's
adjacent to
above the ground.
generator.
So
Mr. Chairman,
I don't see the
interrupt
difference.
the people
Yeah.
that are speaking. Come on, cut it out. And
You're
don't give me
saying?
those looks.
I'm not giving you a look, sir, this is just.
You
my
are giving me a
sense.
look. You're flirting your eyes.
Mr. Lynch, I did not hear him interrupt. The applicant was addressing the board, and then you interrupted her. So can we
I
please
did
get
not
forward?
interrupt. The chairman interrupted.
Okay.
Yeah,
You were saying?
Let me, this is Christopher Gow, bar member. Let me give you my thoughts on this. So we have these air conditioning and heat pump units installed on the walls in these various places. Most of them have been put together on the wall in what we can call a utility area. It's a lower basement area. Since the first site visit, Orange and Rockland have come to update the electricity to the house, and which
On
is
the wall.
on the wall. And unfortunately, it's very ugly. It's like all the electric telegraph poles all around Tuxedo. They're ugly, but it's a necessity. So I'm sure Mr. Hoffman, the original owner of the house, wouldn't have wanted all this on there, but he didn't. We didn't deal with electricity in those days. So we have a huge generator now as well, which is something for our other applicants to bear in mind about possible big generators and propane tanks, about to think ahead of where that's going to be sited. So there's a big generator there, as well as the Orange and Rockland, and as well as these things hanging on the wall. So it's a utility area, and it's not pretty. So are going backwards and forwards, in my opinion, is putting lipstick on a pig. It's there. It's not ideal, but it's efforts have been made to make it better, and so we're appreciative of that. But I'm happy to approve it as is. Because I know there's going to be a very robust screening of evergreen vegetation to hide it as much as possible. Obviously, that's the aim of all of us. And just to sort of generalize a little bit about the bar, the Board of Architecture Review has these design guidelines which we want to earn respect and have people follow. We want to be able to have the people follow them because they want to, because they respect what we're doing, and not have to force it all the time and police it. So, so for example, this is the bar here, and so when applicants come to us, sometimes the bar's a little bit off, and we try and gently get it horizontal. In this case, the bar is quite off, and we've been working together and bringing it down, and it's not perfect. The world isn't perfect. But if we keep on trying too much, it breaks. Then it's expensive with lawyers and to repair this damage. So I think we've made enough progress with this that I'm happy to move forward with this situation. And with the one that's not in this utility area that's hanging off the wall around the corner, there's been this plan that was submitted on the 26th of June with a wood shelf and hickory privacy slats 1 inch apart that was submitted back in June, which I was happy at the time to approve. Since then we've tried to improve it. We haven't made much progress, but I'm happy to go back with this. So that's my thought on it.
Just so we have an understanding, could you explain to me the progress that you had mentioned on this? Because my understanding is that these are still coming in installed improperly above windows through what is spray foam penetrations.
What we're dealing with is the aesthetics here. This is the Board of Architecture. We deal with the aesthetics. And our building inspector deals with the code issue and that sort of thing. So
aesthetically, this is not within the design guidelines whatsoever.
No,
Maybe
but
you
the
could point to me where it
design
is.
guidelines are guidelines, and we hope and we wish and we encourage people to respect them. And we can't enforce guidelines. They're guidelines. And so, as I say, if this was in the front of the building, that would be a different issue. This is hidden away in the utility area, third floor basement. It's
Second floor.
Second floor,
I have two basements, the lower basement.
it's a lower basement, and so we're focusing a lot of time and effort on this utility area when I think we should be focusing more time on others. So, for example, I'm hoping that we pass this, so the applicant or any other future applicants, there's goodwill involved, and they will focus on other aspects of the building that they inherited, which are not pretty, like storm windows and that sort of thing, which they don't have to do anything about because that's the way they bought the building. But I'm hoping that they will look at the design guidelines and say, you know what, this is more visible from the street and a more important area than a sub-basement utility area, which is hidden.
So 2 of those are in the sub-basement utility area. The remaining 4 go up the facade in an increment of 20 feet, and there are 2 on the back side of the house as well.
Right, those ones are going to be screened, and there's one around the corner. That's the one where this bracket has been proposed with these 1-inch hickory slats to hide it. In the same way, the rest of the building has these brackets sticking out and oriel and bay windows, so it's perfectly complementary to it. It's not 100% what I would like, but if it's 80%, I'm happy with that because the world isn't perfect.
I don't think that we could, in earnest, say that's any way complementary to the design guidelines. I'm sorry, you speak?
What was the proposed screening for those that are in excess of 20 feet? Is it mature trees that will be planted?
I don't think it's 20 feet. I think
It's
from
quite a change in elevation.
the ground elevation goes up, so the planting is from the ground that slopes up is
Yeah.
about 2 feet, 3 feet.
From the ground, I mean, the bracket is 2 feet above the ground, wherever it is, and that's for the snow effect, so the engine can actually function. But the tree we're planting right now, that tree is around 4 feet, but we are hoping to plant around 6 feet high trees around it, 3 feet from the area. That pretty much going to cover that.
Right, because I went on a site visit yesterday to have a look at all this, so I can speak with authority about exactly what it is. Having seen the Orange and Rockland, having seen the scenario, having seen the generator in place, having seen the starting of the plantings, where the propane tank was done. So that's,
are you suggesting that this would be a better solution than installing them properly on a pad site to the manufacturer's specifications next to the generator? Because I would venture to say that if the generator can be installed there properly, that it would.
I think
be
this
other
is-
mechanicals there as well.
This
and
is
it was
where-
something that you seemed amenable to in the
No,
past.
I explained it multiple times. This is where the engineer part you did not understand.
I
There's
understand
difference
perfectly.
is the generator does not require the absolute flat because it's propane gas is generating. But for the air conditioning unit and the heat pump unit to work, they have this what do you call it, the coolant part of it. It has to be absolutely flat. Okay, if it's tilted, that unit's not going to function. So that is why the engineer is very, I mean, the manufacturer did suggest, okay, you either hang it on the wall, many of this unit did hang on the wall, or you put, if you have an absolute flat area or in a more like warm, less harsh area like we are, like we have 2 feet snow sometimes, I know that. And in those situations, yes, you can put on the floor, on the concrete, flat concrete ground. But in situation like this, number one, it's very cold, there's a snow issue, and number two, it's a sloping ground. And then that, anytime that the any displacement of the slope soil will end it in the slight tilting of the engines of the thing, then the unit maybe just in the worst day of the coldest day that will not work. That would be a problem.
This
Yeah.
is the good thing about the Board of Architecture Review. There's 5 of us, so each of us has our opinion. I've made very clear my opinion. Ryan's made very
It's not a
clear
matter of
your
opinion, it's
opinion.
about what the design guidelines state. It's not personal opinion.
No, it's a guideline. We're not talking about code. It's a guideline, and we're hoping people respect these guidelines. And it cannot always be 100%. And so when it's an important facade and visible, it's
Very important facade.
so let's have our colleagues.
Yeah. So I think in general, we are a collaborative board. We're focused on aesthetics and we're focused on making sure the guidelines are known to our neighbors. And especially for an historical house like this, it's very important to preserve the facade and have the proper systems in place. I think this is a difficult situation because a significant capital investment has been made in these systems without our approval and installed without our approval. And now we're just trying to kind of put a Band-Aid around these 6 very prominent systems on a very relevant part of this house. This house was built out of rock. The foundation is what makes it so beautiful. So I think this is really hard because we are collaborative. We've been working together for months on other items. And, I just think that we should have been spoken to more than just being in this reactive position today.
But one thing though, if you all went to the site, you see the Orange and Rockland. They have all the boxes hanging exactly on the facade.
Mm-hmm.
That's been approved as that's the only way they're going to give you electricity
We,
on the same wall, same facade.
we're in agreement that it shouldn't be mounted on the facade. It's not within this board's purview to decide that. If we could, it wouldn't be there in that way. It's unfortunate, but we don't have a say on that. Stephanie, do you wish to give comment?
Yes, so I really dislike all air conditioning units, including my own. I'd rather sit at 100 degrees than have air conditioning units of any kind. But people live lives, I recognize that that wall is already impacted by the Orange and Rockland utilities. And I think that, yes, it would be fantastic if there was nothing whatsoever on that wall, but Orange and Rockland exists. And the marginal change from moving those air conditioning units onto a pad is such a small benefit. I think it's not worth asking the applicant to do that. So you're going to move a screw down in order to exchange it for a large box that mechanically may not be functional. And I think it's just a marginal improvement to the overall side of the house that is already problematic due to the rockland. I don't think it would be gaining anything from asking the applicant to remove those units, especially since there is a great effort made at, trying to hide them with plantings. And so I think it's, I think we could vote on it, and I would be in favor of letting it go. I don't love air conditioning units. I'm going to remove those terrible things I inherited from Gary. I'm counting the minutes for them to be gone, but it is the situation that facade is minor and it is already impacted by ours.
Sorry, did you lose
That's
your...
my opinion on it.
Sorry, I heard it. I want to make sure it's wrong.
So the benefit of this removal, I think, is not big enough to have a continuing argument. It's my opinion.
I respectfully disagree, and I think that perhaps the next owner will find himself in the position you find yourself in, but let's bring that to a vote.
Do we have comments from the audience?
This would be, this is our public comment, so now's your moment. No? Okay. In that case, I'd like to bring the approval of placing these air conditioning units on a historic facade to a vote. Do I have a second?
Oh, yes, sorry, I
don't have a copy of that in front of me. Thank you. Per the, okay, let me just, is it noted the type of construction for this?
Right, yeah, it's all the details
No,
there.
the spec sheet for what this is built out of. I don't see a material
Hickory,
type.
1-inch slat.
3-inch slide. Okay. So the vote being taken on the Fusco Engineering and Land Surveying dated, am I correct?
6/26.
Dated 6/26. 1-inch hickory slats with support posts with a hickory brace.
Should note that there's 8 of these.
Oh yes, there are 8 of these. I just want, before we vote on this, is this how you're proposing that the entry will still come into the house?
It's already covered.
I'm just
with the-
asking if it has been updated, so I have the correct thing in for your vote.
No, it's exactly the same, but it's covered with the, right now, if you see them, I think all you see them is same as the other downsprout. It's basically same colors.
A brown
Yeah,
metal
brown, yeah,
downspout,
yeah.
So it's still going in above the window?
Yes, that's where it is, but
Is
it's,
that code for you? We can take the vote, but just so we can get on the same page here. Same spot, downspout over it, above the window on the right-hand side.
I see the unit on the right-hand side, and I see the AC condenser units going through the window opening above it.
Correct. Is that going to be a code issue? I'm happy to bring it to a vote, but in good conscience, I want you to have the correct information.
Honestly, I don't think it's a code issue. Those things are unsightly, no matter how you run them.
Right.
And it'd be nice if they were covered, and maybe they already are, I
we
don't
did,
know.
yeah.
But I don't see that as a code issue.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay?
No.
The ayes have it. Could we please record, since it's not on video, who voted which way?
Yes, I have Rob McQuilkin for it, Christopher Gao for it, Stephanie Rinza for it, and Ryan Lynch and Molly Gonzalez against.
Thank you. So with 3 votes in favor, that passes. Our next issue is the windows and storm doors. So, since our last meeting, you had submitted a receipt from Home Depot indicating that this was a vinyl window. That unfortunately does not
Mr.
meet our
Chairman, may
design.
I be heard on that, please?
May I finish my sentence and then you may, yes.
May I be heard, please?
Unfortunately, that does not meet our design guidelines. It started as a wood window.
Mr. Chairman, may I be heard, please?
May I finish my sentence and then you can speak? Thank you.
May I be heard, please?
You may when I finish my sentence. You'll be the first to be heard. Have you been able to produce any plan to change that or to produce a
It is,
design compliant window?
Well, may I be heard, please? May I
Okay,
be
go
heard,
ahead.
please?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, you brought up at a meeting that was not scheduled, the issue of storm doors that was before the prior owner, and this indicates your bias and your arrogance and your desire.
Okay,
to
we'll have a civil
control.
discourse. I will
Mr.
not-
Lynch, Mr. Lynch, again, we don't need the ad hominem attack.
We don't.
Just make
And it
your-
won't be tolerated.
It'd just be appropriate. The storm doors have nothing to do with this application. There was nothing cited. Please, be
Okay,
correct for the
so
record,
as my
and
question
don't
was,
give
were
me
you able to
those
find
looks.
something that was
For the
design
record,
compliant?
You're looking away as if you're arrogant and not caring.
Mr. Lynch, I mean, Dennis, can I just read out a message from the contractor, okay? Because he did the work. When I submit that to you, I did not include that, but there was a, for the record, where is that? Okay, this is by Teddy Cascioro, G-U-S-C-I-O-R-O, okay, it's the contractor, Teddy. Said the work done on the basement windows of 116 Tower Hill Road was started on the first week in November of 2021. The 2 weeks prior to that was spent trying to locate windows that would fit the openings and be there in time for the winter. All wooden windows was special order, and they were 6 to 8 months out during the COVID. With winter coming and the basement windows protecting the water meter, furnace, and water heater, we were forced to go with the stock Anderson 400 series window. These windows were of wood construction vinyl claddings. We spent good amount of time dedicatedly removing as much vinyl as possible. Any vinyl left are covered as much as possible with the wood. So the exterior, all those frames are actually wood. He did it by hand. Single pieces move out and all that. The only vinyl left is the inside for the unit go up and down. You know, when you move the window up and down, those are vinyl. That could not be replaced. But all windows frame, what you can see, he did it. And then when I was here last time, I did not have the chance to really explain that, but subsequently I went to him and then he tells me this.
Okay. So,
Mr. Chairman, may I ask, did you give a waiver for plexiglass to a trustee and said it was okay? Did you, or did you? Please answer the
so
question.
I will answer that question fully as I have in previous meetings. A waiver was
No.
not given.
Can you answer it now for the record?
If you'll allow me to without being interrupted, I'd be happy to answer it.
Did you or did you not?
Do you want me to answer it or talk over me?
Grant
Which
the
would you
waiver,
prefer?
or can I please finish? Please don't.
I know the feeling.
You're looking like you're arrogant and don't control.
Again, we will not
Did you
deal
or
with
did you
personal
not?
attacks. You can
Stop
either
it.
speak to us civilly.
Stop it.
Yes,
Did you or
stop
did
it.
you not give a waiver to a trustee?
This is just
for
totally
plexiglass?
It is. It's completely
Yes or no?
inappropriate.
Please.
So to answer your question, sir, the design guidelines do not allow us to approve vinyl window. I am, if you'll stop interrupting me, sir. Thank
Did
you.
give a waiver? Yes or no?
It is
Please
not a yes or
answer
no
the
question. Life is complex. If you'll allow me to speak, I'd be happy to answer it. The design guidelines will not allow us to approve
Please
vinyl.
answer the question.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Lynch,
Mr. Lynch, your question assumes facts that aren't accurate.
Yes or
In
no?
order for him to answer the question, he
Yes
needs
or
to
no?
explain it.
Did you
Can
waiver
you
or not?
listen to our counsel?
Can you hear the council? The council was talking.
Oh, I'm sorry, Counselor,
Your hand
if
might
you
be
want
on
to
the mic.
interrupt the chairperson and not let him answer truthfully, then just go ahead and do that. I want an answer.
Ridiculous.
Mr. Lynch,
Chairman,
you know,
don't give me those
it's
eyes.
not helpful.
Don't look away like
Your
you're
commentary
arrogant.
is not
Don't look away
helpful.
like you're not concerned.
They're trying to
Yes
do
or
their
no? Did you give
jobs
a waiver? Yes
and
or no,
and
please?
execute their responsibilities, and you keep on raising all kinds of belligerent ad hominem attacks. Please allow the chairman, and Mr. Chairman, you're entitled to this as the chair. You can answer the question however you wish. If Mr. Lynch is assuming facts that are not accurate in his question to you, it is not a yes or no answer. Okay?
Thank you.
You don't have to, and also, Mr. Chairman, you do not have to answer.
I'm sorry, Jared, I can't hear you. He's talking over you. Could you please speak up?
Waiver.
John, can you turn up the volume?
You
I
do,
can't hear
you,
you.
you do not, Mr. Chairman, you do not need to answer Mr. Lynch's question if you don't like to.
So, as productive as this exchange is, I'd like to answer your question fully. The design guidelines do not allow us to approve vinyl windows. In the case of the trustee that you're referring to, he first installed mahogany all-wood windows per design guidelines. Those windows then failed in a storm on the lake. He came back to us with custom-built windows produced out of fiberglass at a cost of, I believe it was
$40,000 or $50,000.
$40,000 or $50,000, thank you, that were the absolute highest standard quality possible to suggest as an alternative replacement, because the original wood did not work. So no waiver was given. The design guidelines were applied, and when that does not work, we are open to suggestion and to finding a more suitable alternative as a board.
So at the last meeting, Chairman, when you said a waiver was given, was that correct or not correct?
Jared, can you answer this?
There was
I'm not.
a hardship exception
I
given.
think you answered the question, Mr. Chairman. I'd move on.
Thank you. I'd
I
like
don't
to.
think he did, and I know this for the record. It's all being transcribed for a court
Great.
proceeding. Go ahead, Chairperson. Give me those looks. Look away.
Just my
act
face,
arrogant.
but
It's all reflected for the record.
wonderful.
I'm glad you're thinking being arrogant is wonderful.
Not those
Thank
are
you,
your words, sir. And again, I will not tolerate this.
Mr. Lynch, if anybody is being hostile during this call, it's you. You've been belligerent the entire time. Please stop. These are public
I'm not-
officials.
I'm not
Treat them
being
with the
belligerent.
respect that they're
I'm asking
entitled to
real
be treated with.
questions. I'm not getting real answers.
Let
Thank
me.
you, Jared.
This is Christopher Gow again, a bar member. Let me bring the temperature down, and let's talk about these windows. Let's focus on the issue at hand. So it seems these vinyl windows were put in during a hardship issue. The hardship issue, the wood windows weren't able to be put in place. So the original windows
It's
were
important to
were-
mention, I'm sorry to interrupt, but during that time in the precedent here, we had other people who came before the bar and we still required the window restoration and wooden windows. The Psalm House had no issue whatsoever doing this if you're rebuilding a wood window.
Right.
And taking the
Can
time to
you
do
allow-
that
Okay.
by hand, then, it'd be a
Well, let-
simpler process to do the wood.
So, it's, Mr. Lynch, may I
Yeah,
finish?
okay.
We're trying to make progress here, and we have a lot of people in the audience waiting for the applicants for their turn. So we're trying to move this forward as quickly as possible. So if I could finish about the windows. It was during COVID. Yes, they're not ideal. We do not encourage, we do not want people to put vinyl windows in. This seems to be a hardship issue. Again, it's the second level basement looking out onto this utility area, which is very ugly with the orange and Rockland and these units. A lot of effort has been put in by Teddy, the contractor, to face them with wood, and that has happened. They've been painted brown. They look fantastic. They look like they're exactly what they should look like, what we would like. So I personally don't want to waste any more time on this, and I'm very happy with how they look, and would go ahead and approve them. That's for the windows. The storm doors, I'm hoping that's not on the agenda, but I'm hoping the goodwill of the applicant will take that into issue and do that in the future. But as far as the windows are concerned, so I've made my opinion clear. Ryan has made his opinion clear. What do our colleagues think and say?
My opinion is, since it's all in the same area, we're doubling down on poor aesthetics in the same area. We have vinyl, which we never approve, especially when they were historically wood. And then we have the air conditioning units that were just approved that are 6 in a row at varying heights that are all very noticeable. So I'm not in an agreement here with approvals for these windows.
Except I don't believe they really are vinyl anymore. It's unfortunate that vinyl windows were bought under duress at that time. Yes, had she come before the board, as would have been proper, very different set of answers and requests and recommendations would have been made. I think the applicant got some terrible advice to bypass this process. That is just the state of affairs that we're now sort of scrambling to try and mitigate. In this particular instance, I think mitigation has been made, probably at some expense in man hours, to render them, if they didn't start off being sort of meeting code as wooden windows, to bring them to effectively that place, with the exception of that one vertical, which couldn't be removed. I agree with my colleague, Mr. Gao. If they are painted brown and they look good and they are effectively, for all intents and purposes, wooden windows, and they are in an area of the house that is not seen by any pedestrian or neighbor, then I am fine with the mitigation in terms of doubling down on some, perhaps unfortunate details, admittedly, mitigating with arborvitae, with heavy screening. Again, I think that is sufficient. I personally don't feel it's productive to relitigate this or to litigate it on and on. I would like to move forward.
And to be clear, they're vinyl at their core and have wood over them as like a clear layer on top of it. You're not concerned with setting a precedent for people putting in vinyl windows?
I don't regard this as a precedent. I think we're
I think the next applicant to come up perhaps would, that we approve that.
Well, if they come at the appropriate time and we have a proper process in due course, we would, of course, not approve vinyl windows.
Right, but then it encourages people not to come before the board and do it their own.
Mr. Lynch,
We're having a conversation.
Mr. Lynch, please be quiet. Mr. Lynch,
Yeah, okay, let
Please be
him
quiet.
speak.
Please
Dennis,
stop
let
interfering
him
in the
speak.
process.
Sir, this is a collaborative process and a
Dennis,
civil
let
discussion.
them
Listen to your
discuss.
client.
Stephanie.
Thank you.
So, thank you. I did my own research on these windows. I sent you all a letter about it. Would not call them vinyl at this time. I don't think it applies anymore. I don't think it's a precedent for the particular reason that it cost this contractor more labor time to retrofit that would have cost to buy a wooden window in the first place. So nobody in their right mind would go this route again.
To the extent
buying
that
it.
there is precedent, right.
Yes, so it's not a precedent because you end up paying more for something that you could have bought correctly. So I don't think it would make any sense. It was under duress, and it was remedied by taking off every single. He swore on his life that he took off every single item that could be removed. He actually destroyed 2 entire windows by trying to remove too much. So the only existing item that's no longer not of wood is the running track where the window moves, slides up and down. Even on the inside, it's now wood, which is not our remit. So the percentage of non-wood on this is less than 5% at this time. So it's so minor that I think we should really move along. I don't think it's a precedent.
I respectfully disagree on setting the precedent. The receipt given for this was clearly stated it's a vinyl window. Whether or not it's advisable to do that from a cost basis of deconstructing and reconstructing it, we're still approving, per that spec sheet, this window that's then been clad in wood. And the reason that we have the design guideline and the precedent to do all wood windows
Why are you
is,
arguing with
excuse
your
me,
board
we're having a
members?
conversation.
Mr.
It's not an
Lynch.
argument, sir. The reason that we have wood windows in the first place is to protect the historic legacy of Tuxedo Park and proven longevity. So as you said, no one in their right mind would go through this cost and redo a vinyl window with wood, and I'm incredibly worried
Don't try to
about the
intimidate
I am incredibly
Mr.
worried
Lynch,
about the
please stop
longevity.
interfering in the
So
process.
let's put it up for vote.
I
Let's
would.
move
May I
on.
finish, please? I'm incredibly worried about the longevity of that window just having wood clad onto vinyl. It's just not the same level of quality that we have in our guidelines. I'd be very surprised to see that hold up over time. So if at this point you don't wish to remedy it, you would like us to take it to a vote.
Yes.
Okay.
No, we wish you to
Ah.
vote on what is proper.
Okay. We're in agreement on that. Thank you,
We
sir.
define legacy, Chairperson.
Okay.
we
So,
can understand
Sir,
that
I'm not.
in
This
the
is not
process.
productive. I'm not going back
Let
and
them
forth.
vote.
We're trying to
Let
take a
them-
vote.
Dennis,
Thank
let them
you.
vote, yeah.
Okay, go ahead and vote.
Thanks. Trying to. Windows.
Thank you for letting us vote.
Anytime.
Mr.
Not
Lynch,
interrupting.
please let them do their job.
Good Lord.
We have other applications on.
It's not the job for the chairperson to interrupt.
To hold a vote? Yes, it is. You're the one interrupting,
debate-
sir.
Right.
Thank you.
debate
Dennis, let
however they
him go.
win.
Let-
Please,
let
listen to
let
your
him
client.
take it.
We'll be there in court, don't worry.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. On advice of counsel, this does set a precedence for approving vinyl windows. In order for us to take a vote on approving this applicant's specific vinyl window, we need to take a vote to approve vinyl windows in the design guidelines. So I make a motion to approve vinyl windows as part of the design guidelines. Do I have a
Advise the
second?
council. Once you advise the council.
That's not appropriate.
It is appropriate based on counsel. Jared,
No,
would you please
no.
weigh in here?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes or no?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes or no?
that's,
Approve or
that's,
not approve?
I'd like to discuss this in executive session.
Okay, so do you wish to table the vote and discuss in executive session?
No, don't table the vote, vote.
Okay. Jared, that question was directed towards you.
I think you expanded, the vote is about this window. The
Right,
vote
we
is not
cannot-
about the now window, okay?
It
And
is
then we have
changing
said,
of
there's
precedence.
95% of that is all wood, okay? 95% of the window is replaced
And the
with the wood
requirement in
and know
design
that.
guideline is 100%, not 95.
I would like to make a proposition
Yeah.
to Mr. Lynch. Mr. Lynch.
Mr. Lynch,
Mr.
okay,
Lynch.
let-
I would like to make Mr. Lynch.
Dennis, Dennis,
Mr.
Dennis,
Lynch,
let me
please.
say, yeah.
I would like to make a proposition to approve these windows that have been remedied, that are 95% wood, and in this basement area, this utility area, and this want to make it very clear that we are not establishing a precedent, because we look very much down at vinyl windows and would not approve vinyl windows. I certainly wouldn't, and speaking for myself, in the future. This is a hardship issue during COVID. It's been remedied. It's in a utility area. We need to move on. So I make a proposition to approve these windows at the Genesis Real Estate, 116 Tower Hill Road. The 5 windows?
It's
4,
4
5
windows
window, yeah.
at the basement level.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favour?
Aye.
Aye. All against?
Nay.
We have Christopher Gow, Rob McQuilkin, Stephanie Rinser in favour. We have Chairman Ryan Lynch and Molly Gonzalez against. So it has been approved, the
Thank you.
windows.
Now,
Thank you
can
very
I,
much.
yeah, can I say something about those storm window? They are inherited, and my attorney's advice is like that is beyond board's jurisdiction. But like you said, you were hoping there was a reciprocal of the board trying to make things, because they are a lot more, like
Visible? Or?
visible, yeah, visible to the front. So for those, I would like to work with you to see what I can do it better.
We appreciate
Even
that.
though,
Thank
even
you.
though it's not
Thank you.
under any of my
You're not
obligation
under
to do that.
obligation,
Exactly.
So we appreciate it. Thank
Yeah.
you so
Much
much.
happier
Because
with
they
that.
are in the more visible area. So then, to preserve the beautiful home and all that, I would love to work with you on that, okay? But,
Thank you.
yeah.
That is lovely to hear, and I think you'll be very happy with the end result. Moving on to the next agenda item, we have the generator and enclosure. We have approved that. We are going to come back to us with the level 2 sound enclosure.
Let me send you the picture. That's once again, this engineering, and I don't know somebody who is not engineer trying to interrupt that, but anyway.
Manufacturer specifications.
Manufacturer's specification is level 2 enclosure. This is level 2 enclosure. They have things inside and all that.
Okay, well, at this point, we've approved it, and that would be on John's purview to do a site visit and make sure it's in compliance.
I will
So,
check when I go there.
Yeah, at
Yeah,
that
that's
point,
it.
we-
Okay.
That doesn't require a vote at this point. We've already voted
I'm
on
glad to
that
hear
last
that because
meeting.
when I was here, that this thing had go back to bar again, I was shocked. Why something is approved have to be
It's-
back again?
It's an agenda item that we were discussing, but we did make an effort to get that approved for you at our last meeting.
You did approve it last meeting.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
We're
you.
all done.
Okay.
Next
Yeah.
applicant. Thank you
Thanks
so
everyone
much.
for their patience. Could we
All
have
right.
the
Thank you,
next-
Dennis. Yeah. All right.
Thanks, have a great night.
Thanks, you too.
15 Summit.
So yes, 15 Summit, please. Oh, is there any public comments as well? I forgot to ask.
I'd like to make a comment. This is not normal. So the newcomers here, please.
I'm gonna have PTSD.
Wait, as we said before, the bar is normally something which we'll prove to you now is feedback backwards and forwards.
Ours. This is easy. Ours is easy.
Oh, thank you.
Wow.
Do you want me to break it or to keep it?
It's very
I'm
dramatic.
hoping you're
I'll
not
have to
going to
remember
break
that
it
one.
on our application.
John, just what is the length on that recorder? Is there a limit?
No,
It's
we've,
digital,
we've
isn't
had meetings in excess of 3 hours. so-
Wow, that's not encouraging, but good to know there's battery life. Okay, so next up.
Good evening, everyone. Conrad Roncati, I'm the architect for 15 Summit Road. My clients are here this evening, and as noted, this is their first meeting in Tuxedo.
Welcome.
Welcome.
If you can guarantee that every, I will come.
No
He's here for
problem.
the entertainment value.
Bring food snacks.
At the last bar meeting, we had Janice Parker here. Janice Parker is our landscape architect. Unfortunately, she's traveling today. Tyler Vallow from the office is here, if necessary, to speak. At the last meeting, we did talk about our site plan application, which we were making our landscape plan that was prepared by Janice Parker's office. And we were also proposing a gatehouse structure. That gatehouse structure is located at the entry point to the garage. We provided a,
I have the plans
Do you
here.
have plans and do you have the neighbor feedback as well, or no?
Um,
If not, I can pull it up here.
uh,
Excuse me.
I had presented this particular rendering at the last meeting. So in addition to discussing the landscape and the fact that we were proposing a landscape plan that really was in keeping with the original design intent for the landscape, we were not relocating our driveway, we're not relocating our forecourt at our front entrance. The terrace between the house and the lake is going to remain generally where it is now, just a little bit of change in its shape, and some terraced gardens that go down the side of the house. We were restoring some of the cascading waterfall ponds, installing some water features, all of which can't be seen from the road, but by and large our landscape plan we felt was an embellishment of what we inherited, not any radical change. We had proposed this gatehouse at the front entry, and the reason for that I could just quickly go through again. I could not have asked for a better application before us this evening because the genesis of this idea was not simply to create another independent structure on the property, but to house our orange Rockland ugly CT cabinet, generator, and gate equipment. So we had not thought about creating a structure there when we first began. As I think you all know, the house is being restored as we speak. The wood windows that we have painstakingly designed, all the windows in the house are being created now, and they should start coming at the end of December. And I had been here a couple of years ago before the bar with another version of a renovation of the house, but my clients are in love with the house, in love with Tuxedo Park, in love with the history, the materials, and we are spending the time, the effort, and the energy to restore everything about the house. We put the slate roof back on the house. So, you know, you talk about leveling the bar. We feel like we have really done that and will continue to do so. So the genesis for this was the fact that we did meet with Orange Rockland. We currently have electric service underground. It's only a 200 amp service, so it wasn't going to be enough to really support this now modern use of the home. We met with them about pulling that wire all the way back to the house again, but unfortunately their response was they would only allow us to go 100 feet or so onto the property before that line needed to come above ground with a large CT cabinet, a meter, and we thought, well, we'll just screen it with landscaping. At that point, we also started thinking about our electric generator. Where was that going to go? Around the house. Now we had a point where the service entrance was going to stop before a meter. It now became the likely place to put a generator. The proposal for the gatehouse, which is not really for a gate and is certainly not a house, maybe it's a little bit of a misnomer, was to house all of that unsightly material and equipment, and to be a place where we could actually put the generator. The generator will be a propane-powered generator. The propane tank will be in the ground adjacent, so we won't be seeing the tank. And then the generator will be located inside the building, as well as the electric service, CT cabinet, and a place for the meter pan. Also within the structure will be our mechanical gate operating equipment. So the motors, everything will be housed in here. So this solution really was an aesthetic one. It was a visual one to hide all of that mechanical equipment, and we made it as large as we needed to accommodate that. I know there was a comment from the neighbor, perhaps motivated by the term gatehouse and thinking this was larger scale than it really is, but this is actually 9 by 14, so the footprint of the main block is actually less than a parking space in size. We're 9 feet to the eave, about 13 feet to the midpoint of the roof, and as I have explained in the last hearing, the materials on the structures match the house. So we have the same stone, the same granite, same detailing. Now, at the last meeting, there was comment about the level of detail here, and perhaps it was a little bit over the top, and there was comments made about the copper cap and the 4 separate spires. And I have now reissued to the board 3 pages, AR100, AR101, which are site plan, AR100, AR101 is a floor plan of the proposed structure, as well as 2D elevation. So we didn't have this at the last hearing, but we have it now. You have a larger scale copy. So we call out all of the materials. I've simplified the gate. It was a little bit more elaborate with an initial at the center. It's now a much simpler gate. The aesthetics have been addressed, simplified, and the stone chimney was replaced with a brick chimney, which is more in keeping with the materials and aesthetics we have on the main house. Okay, so if we look to the last page, there's a revised rendering, and if I could hold this up by comparative side by side, I eliminated a lot of the excess detail, if you will, that the board had commented on. This is now a single spire instead of 4. The stone chimney has been replaced with a simplified brick, which is exactly what we have on the main house. I've also reduced the number of lights to 2 On the outside, there were 4 proposed before. There are no windows in this structure. There's only the wood door. The wood door replicates wood doors that we have on the house now that are out for restoration. We should be getting them back soon. The color, this dark green color, matches the historic color we found on the house and have been repainting everything with that material. Also, the benefit, aside from visual, is that our propane generator will be located in the structure. The chimney will actually be the vent for the combustion of that generator, so we can get out all of the propane fume that comes out from that. But this will also be insulated and sound attenuated. So when our generator, if and when it goes on, it'll be quiet. It's not at the house, it's not echoing through the property. And certainly, as we move it closer to the street, which we recognize is closer to neighbors, we want to make sure that it was as quiet as possible. So I realize that generator noise is something that people should be concerned with. A modern generator, especially a propane one, is not really any louder than a car running. They're essentially car engines that are running on propane, but nonetheless they make noise. But by having it inside the structure, a stone structure, and one that'll be insulated and sprayed from the inside and sound attenuated, we should have very little sound, if any, emanating from here. So we seem to have had a solution that the board found somewhat acceptable last time, with some comment about aesthetics, and I still think that all the positive points we made regarding the structure are still valid. We also submitted with that a rendering that was in the package from Janice Parker's office. There was a comment by the board, and it's not reflected on my rendering, but on the Janice Parker generated rendering the last time, the landscape proposal was a little intense, maybe too much, a little too many plants, too large, too formal of an entrance. So we've toned that down. So you'll see reflected in my sketch a simplified landscape plan at the entrance, and also on Janice Parker and Tyler's plan, putting the gatehouse in and simplifying just the boxwoods that line the driveway coming up from the stone that we have. The last thing I wanted to mention was the side cheek wall to the gatehouse. I was proposing a wall that started high and then came down to about 4 feet. Beyond this, and if you look at your plan, you'll see we have a guest parking area, visitor parking area that is right beyond the gatehouse, and we wanted again to be sensitive to our neighbors. So the wall acts as a visual barrier to that parking field. It's just a few cars, but if there's a car there, we want to be sensitive to our neighbors. So they'll pass through the gate, park, and those cars will be screened by the structure as well as the wall. We've made an application to the zoning board because the location of the gatehouse requires a front and side yard variance. Your ordinance does not have separate setbacks, which is typically the case for accessory buildings. So in a typical community, you have a house and maybe a detached carriage house or garage, and typically those side yard setbacks are a lot less than a main structure. Here in Tuxedo Park, you are somewhat agnostic in your code that only one set of rules applies, whether it's the main structure or an accessory structure, has the same setback requirements. So we are within the front yard setback, and we're within the side yard setback, which is 50 feet. But again, these are accessory buildings, and we're going to make our case before the zoning board. We think the positives far outweigh the negatives. If you have any questions for Tyler, he's here too on the
Wonderful. Thank you.
landscape plan.
I just want to note too that we cannot give a vote on approval until the BZA decision comes through, but we'd love to work with you and give some feedback.
Sure.
Off the bat, I think we're moving in a great direction, especially with the roof line. I know Rob had some concerns with last meeting. And readdressing the finials, I think that's much more fitting with the original structure. There were some comments from neighbors that brought up the concern that Tuxedo Park typically does not have gatehouses, with the exception of the one through the gate that we all come through.
Right.
Is there a scenario for this where we treat this as more of an ancillary structure, let's call it a potting shed? I think there's precedent for that, and eliminate the structure on the left as a pedestrian walkway, and perhaps either lose the gate entirely or move it forward and have it set up in a way that's more typical with the park, in that posts for the gate at the beginning of a drive.
So we certainly want to have the structure be balanced. And although the right side of this, which is the larger structure, is not that large at all, I did feel that it needed to be balanced by this pedestrian gate here. I think it works more successfully with than without it. Having a pier only here, this structure is smaller. It's only 13 feet to the point, and it's about 11 feet to the midpoint of the roof, so it's scaled down and really just wide enough to kind of walk through. And it does give a place, of course, for the gate to come across at the gate. The gate is not really intended for security in the sense that keeping people from walking onto the property. We're not fencing the property. We're not proposing a fence around the property. But my clients live in Saddle River. They're primary residents. This is going to be a weekend house, I guess, for lack of a better term. And they would like to know that people are driving up to the house, and that's the purpose of the gate. We also think it formalizes things here at the entry. Again, this structure is only as large as it needs to be to house the generator and the electric equipment. There's no room for anything else. Certainly not a house, again, a misnomer. There's no room for, a bedroom or a kitchen. This is a very tiny little structure. I consider it an architectural folly. It really is just a small, fun structure that I think is commensurate with the park. I don't think that it's not, and I don't see it as something that, emulates or replicates or tries to compete with the beautiful gatehouse that we have at the main entrance.
To my knowledge, I think it would be the only other existing gatehouse. Do you have thoughts? Or?
So my thoughts on it are, I think I love the idea of having hiding the generator and all this utility stuff, and I think this is a great solution. I missed the last meeting, so I wasn't able to share my feedback on that. The house, I think it was Mr. McVicker's house.
Yes.
And it's very stern, patrician, and beautiful. This still seems to be a little bit as if he's gone to Paris on holiday and had a bit of wine and come back, and it's a little bit excessive. I think it still could be toned down a little bit to make it match the house. The materials match beautifully. The brick chimney is perfect, and that gives it that stern, patrician look. I think maybe the copper dormer, it's maybe too many bells and whistles.
I think that's the real problem, is that dormer.
Yeah, so I think if that was removed, the door is great. The lighting is important. That also seems a little bit. Look at me.
If you look, sorry to interrupt, but look at the bottom picture from behind. It looks so much more sober and in keeping with the house. If literally this would get everyone's vote. Yeah. This would not.
I think the dormer made sense when the roof line was more elaborate, but
right.
Without it, you're right, that does look much better.
It seems slightly out of scale and a little bit Francophile, yeah.
And then the other point I have is, it is so difficult to get a good gate. I very rarely I've seen, apart from a vintage one that's been used, but it's even then it's very difficult. you've probably heard the joke that we have the gate here at the front to keep people from leaving because we're all crazy here, as opposed to stop people coming in.
I hadn't told them that, Chris.
Okay, so well, you've seen that now. We have 16 part-time policemen here, so it's very safe. And yes, there are some curious people. Maybe one or two would drive up. I doubt it. So the need for that for protection. If that's the only reason for the gate, I would just get rid of the gate. Certainly, that first round was a little bit too much. This is a little bit too industrial. The sliding one, it's not like a. So I mean, without that gate, without the dormer, and maybe the lights a little bit smaller, I think it'd be fantastic. It'd be beautiful, and it would complement the house very well.
The scale of the lights isn't terribly high.
I've also,
I agree.
Christopher.
Yeah, the lights are really beautiful.
I've handed out while you were speaking gas light. The original sconce at the front entrance to our house
Yeah.
had been electrified, but it was originally gas. We sent it out for restoration along with the steel and glass beautiful canopy that was on the house, which has now been returned and reinstalled, and we're thrilled with it. But we're going to be putting gas back into that fixture. Again, not a mantle type, but a flickering. And we're going to, what I'd like to do is bring that sconce, gas-lit sconces out onto this structure at the entry. So very low lighting, really more for effect.
Am I right in thinking there are two sizes here, and I think what you have drawn is the 24
Yes.
inch. I would love to see it with the 21. They feel. I misheard you, Ryan. I thought you were calling into question the scale of it because they seem a little much for me.
So I had 4 of them originally. They weren't gas, they were just part of an original sketch. And I've actually reduced it to just 2 on the right side. But I could certainly, what I had intended was the 21 inch.
Yeah, 21.
I'm sorry.
I can't tell you that was
Because
scaled
these-
perfectly. I
Looking,
gave
just
this to
eyeballing
my-
it, this feels very large, and I wonder if this isn't the 24
The one on
to
the
scale.
Are they the
side
scale?
specifically?
If you look at the scale of the building, though, the scale is 8 feet and 4 feet for the wall. If
Is
you
that
go
right?
right across is a 4-foot fixture, so those are definitely not to scale in this rendering.
Yeah, I'm looking
If
at
you
the
do.
24.
So if you look
I'm
on the
sorry,
measurement
the
on the far
21.
right, it goes about halfway up the wall to 4
Right.
feet, and then this measurement is another 4 feet. So that's definitely not to scale for a 24-inch fixture.
It looks like 2
Half
feet
that
to
size.
me. It absolutely looks like 2 feet. No.
It looks like almost 4 to me.
But I think when you come back,
No, I'm saying the
when we
scale.
vote,
I'm saying the scale of the lantern.
As pictured, it looks like 4 feet, but it should be
You're
half
talking about
that.
on the 2D drawing?
I'm talking
Right.
about on the last page where you show the front and back of the new facade. where
Yeah,
the gas
those
lanterns
are probably
Yeah.
closer to 24 inches.
Yeah, they
but
don't look to scale to me, but I could be
I
wrong.
anyway, just to finish the thought.
Use the smaller.
Here's my basic take. I think I do feel like there is precedent for gates, so I wouldn't make an issue of that. I think this is a much improved, much soberer, solution to the Citizens Kane thing that we started with. So I, for one, am satisfied with this, and I understand the need for a gate. It's not for everyone, but I understand that. I think if you get rid of the dormer entirely and just have it be a nice gabled roof, just like the back side, and if you get rid of this sort of mullion thing so that it's just a nice
So it just
open
opens down.
circle,
Yeah.
I think that would be
Absolutely.
an improvement. I think these lanterns are overscaled. If that is a 24 inch, I'd love to see what the 21 inch looks like. And other than that, my feeling is, like, as Christopher said, I think this is quite an elegant solution in terms of hiding a lot of ugly equipment. And so I understand the basis for this.
It's really, and we thank you for your thoughtfulness in
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
So, thanks for saying your comment about this additional building. I would probably lose this, and I wouldn't be worried about the balance, because you'd have to see it at a much wider angle. The house is possibly the balance to this, the house itself. So I don't think it necessarily needs to be balanced with each other right there. I think
I
I'd
think
like to
that's-
at least discuss it, because that doesn't seem to hide anything or do anything.
No, it doesn't, it just
Right.
balances it, and
Right.
I respectfully, not only is the right side a little bit larger,
Yes,
but it then has the wall, and that wall then engages a wall
Right.
on our property line. So everything about the right side is larger and engaged.
right,
It's a structure that goes into a wall,
Right.
into another wall that runs along the entire property line and
Mhm.
terraces up, and then is shared with
Right.
our neighbor, Joel, to our north. And I really feel strongly that we need that balance at that side of the house, you know, with or without a gate. I just feel that it's a necessary,
right, and to
even the
continue what
gate
I
we
was-
have
right,
here out front,
okay.
you know, has two sides
Right.
for a reason.
So to complete what I was going to say,
Yeah.
I very much like what you said, Rob, about losing this window. That would definitely be an improvement. I don't know what is this, a little window in that?
It's not a window, and
What is it?
I do think that just the hole that's, you know,
Yeah.
with the circular stone,
Mhm.
perhaps detailing would be better solution than that divided. That was an attempt to emulate the Oreo
Right.
window that was in the center of the dormer. But if you notice on my rendering, it's not there.
Right.
And I think that
Ah, I
the
see.
comment is well taken, that, you know, that's more successful, just the circular hole.
Right.
Again, I'm trying to do things to make this interesting, have some aesthetic appeal, and also reduce the mass of that wall by introducing that
But
little void
could
in it.
this be reduced somehow? I mean, I would.
If I
make
move
it
the
as
generator
small as
outside the
absolutely-
building? Yeah.
No, I mean, just,
No,
no. 'Cause
The
it
generator
seems
is-
There's all this kind of, no, you can't,
you need clearance in front of the
Right.
CT cabinet to meet Orange Rockland requirements.
and the height, do you need all that height, or can you?
I need the height because I need the combustion air inside the
I mean, the
building.
whole, this entire roof line?
If you lower it, it's going to be less than the pitch that's on the main house, and it's
Right.
going to look silly.
Right, right.
Agreed, that should mimic that.
The only other thing that I might say is, if you allowed some Virginia creeper to go rampant all over both of those buildings, I think it would age it and situate it and quiet it in a very, very attractive
You just
way.
wanted Tyler to
I
have
think
to
that's
jump
an
in.
excellent
right?
idea.
That's a great
It
idea.
is.
Yeah.
And then it addresses the neighbors' concerns to
Right.
the gatehouse by having a kind of disappearing
Right,
vegetation.
just a little bit.
Yeah,
And
we
then-
like that idea.
And then in
Wonderful
fall, it
idea.
matches the house.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I-
red.
Yeah, I agree with everything.
we're not doing this to make something that jumps out.
Yeah.
We're trying to do it to make something contextual that more importantly solves a functional and aesthetic, otherwise bad aesthetic issue.
And you're not altering the facade of the building, right? The renderings are just like a
Of what?
sketch. Well, in the main renderings that I saw.
She's talking about the landscape
Yeah.
plan,
So,
Where it's like the red
The
kind
way
of
the-
block.
like
yeah,
the
No, no,
simplified
no.
Exterior,
So that,
doesn't-
the house is done.
right.
When you look at the house, it's done save for new windows
Okay.
and restored doors.
Right,
We're
right,
not
right.
touching,
Okay, so
the
that's
house
just a
at
drawing.
all.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
that-
you for that. Yeah.
that was Tyler's office. I gave him a
Okay, yeah.
3D model of the house, but it didn't have any detail.
Okay, sorry.
So yeah,
about that.
we spoke about this at the last
Yeah,
meeting.
sorry, I was-
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
aware. Thank you for that.
No, the house is being restored.
Well, and we're
That's
so
great,
appreciative. I
thank you.
mean,
know,
the
that's such a-
the quality of every choice that's been made, all the way up to the weather vane, is, you know,
incredible.
commendable,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Can I say something?
Of course.
I'm just listening to everyone's comments and it probably wants to kill me. But I want to say this, that house has been sitting there for years and years and years. And we are literally restoring it like down to spending millions and millions of dollars on the appropriate windows, on the roofing, on the weather vane. And we're literally trying to recreate and bring her back to life in all her glory, truthfully. So this to me, Conrad, hold this up so the audience can see how gorgeous the... So this is just like leading you into this beautiful oasis that we're fixing and, you know, bringing back to life. So yes, I want a gate. yes, I don't know what the problem is with the window that looks so pretty. Like, we're spending so much and it looks beautiful and looks a lot better than what I see in the park, quite frankly. We're trying to restore and rebuild and it's gonna be exquisite. So, just, you know,
I agree with everything you said. I think there are a couple of tweaks that I, for one, just as one member of 5, would ask for that in order to make it as beautiful as it can be. And I think it really will be an enhancement.
because I don't wanna take away from even the little things we're doing. I don't wanna like dumb it down or like make it look.
See, that's
like,
where our
oh,
paths diverge. I think that by taking that Francophile dormer out, you vastly marry it to the actual house, which
Right.
has a very sober set of roof lines.
Right.
So, nobody wants to dumb anything down. To the contrary, we want to sober it up a little bit
Okay.
in order for it to be everything you just said.
Just to enhance, yeah.
Yeah.
And
But it
also,
should be,
I
at
think
the
it's-
same time, it should be fun, and I used the word folly, and I meant it.
And it has that.
That was part of the idea, was that it was a little bit more fun and playful than the restrained house. You come to it, the landscaping will be there, it's a little bit more eventful and fun, and then we pass by and take the long approach up to the house.
But I agree with a lot of the points made, and I think the materials you've chosen and the care you've put into this is amazing. I think my personal opinion is when you're driving in, this is a beautiful entry point, but the sweeping driveway and the house itself is what the focus should be. So I think maybe simplifying and removing that window, you get that effect of a very kind of, esteemed entry, but the house is still, the main part of that visual when you're driving in.
I think it's a fine line between being playful and inviting, and actually upstaging the actual house, which you've done the most incredible job bringing back. And again, our
Wait
deep,
till it's done.
deep.
We'll have you all
Well, I can't
Love
wait.
to.
It's gonna be
Well, the
exquisite.
fact that you sourced that original Zubair neocolonial wallpaper, it points to you or whoever is responsible for that.
Probably, yeah.
Because I don't think everyone, or really anyone else, would have done that. And so it's miraculous
Yeah.
what your stewardship. But I do hope you'll hear us on some of these, just toning it down just slightly. And again, no one's trying to dumb anything down, for sure.
Well, it's called the tuxedo patina. So, we don't use Botox and everything's not perfect. It's a little bit, I'm not going to say rough at the edges, but it's a little bit lived in and worn in. And we're a forest community. We're not Upper Saddle River where everyone takes super pride in their house and it's all immaculate.
Oh,
Here,
well, we live on a farm.
Okay,
We're
okay.
like very,
okay, so it's not so this. So we're trying to get away from this manicured look.
Yeah.
Yes, in the past, when it was the Gilded Age, and people were, look at me, look at my house, I'm rich. Look at that's what Tuxedo Park was, and now it's sort of it's so that's the first point. The second point is the function and the beauty. So this gatehouse, it's beautiful and it forms a function. Now this is what we like with plants, the landscaping. They're not just pretty plants. And they're not just sitting pretty, they're acting functionally, they're pretty functional. So it's like a work colleague in your office. If someone just sits there looking pretty, it doesn't bring any business, there's no point. But if that person works hard and engages and brings in business and is pretty, that's what a native plant does. So when your choice of plants, the more native plants you can use, because they're part of the food chain, for the birds and the bees and the pollinators, and so as much native plants as possible would be great. And it's the same thing. It's this patina thing of not so manicured. I mean, we love leaves on lawns here. The leaf blower isn't blowing all day and having no leaf on the lawn. We're in a forest, so it's that sort of thing to get that sort of vibe. That's what we're all about. Yeah.
I want to say I can particularly appreciate your position. My fiance is sitting behind you, and I purchased a derelict home that needed The list of what did not is shorter than what we did put into it. And what we aim to do here is a collaborative effort. As you've witnessed, if people don't agree, they find a way to do what they want to do. But in my experience and practice what I preach, I'll be in front of the bar at the end of this meeting getting feedback on what would be a proper window to replace some non-compliant ones that are kind of more ornamental and in a similar way. So I've found it to be a good process, and I hope you guys do too.
And thank you so much for saving that beautiful house. We really appreciate
It
it.
really shows, and I cannot possibly articulate my appreciation enough.
Does the bar make a comment to the zoning board?
No, it's more for you to realise you're on the right track, so you don't come back to us.
Communication.
No, because we're focused on aesthetics and they're focused on setbacks and everything.
So once
So
we have
no
the,
positive or negative commentary from the bar to the zoning board?
there's not really a conversation back and forth. Once they approve it, we could then act, but we're waiting for their approval.
I've been to the bar for my other house at 76 Summit and this one three times now, but I haven't been to your zoning board, so I wasn't sure of the process.
Okay.
But thank you very much.
Thank you.
And are there any questions or concerns that you guys have for us?
I think that's it.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's shaping up beautifully.
Thank you so much.
A pleasure. Okay, next up, and thank you for your patience.
126.
126 Summit, yeah. You guys will be neighbors soon.
It's a really cool house. Thank you so much. Beautiful, Brandon.
All right. Has everyone had a chance to review?
Yes.
Yep.
Wonderful. Just for the record, we'll be coming back after BZA approval to vote on the matter before us, 415 Summit Road. Okay. All right, take us away.
Good evening. I'm Claire Davenport. I'm the architect for 126 Summit Road. We've also got the owner, Carl Rivera, and my colleague. Introduce yourself.
Yes. I'm Adalberto Angulo Sosa. I'm the project manager and main designer for the job.
So I think you've all had a chance to kind of take a quick look. I think before we maybe get into the details, I'll just say first of all, we're very excited to be working on this beautiful, kind of iconic house built in 1907. So it has the stucco facade with wood detailing. There's some beautiful wood detailing both on the exterior and the interior. We're hoping to uncover some more on the interior. And some brickwork. We have gabled slate roofs. And, we're, just a quick note on scope, this is really a facade update, facade restoration proposal. So we're not looking at an extension or a landscaping work. We're really focused on the facade. And our kind of main goals as we kind of get into the specifics, number one is really to restore and kind of amplify, bring back some of the historical detailing that I think, a little bit has been lost. If you see at some of the windows that have been replaced, there's a mix of, there's some vinyl windows that are in bad shape. There are some that do not have divided lights, or they don't have true divided lights. There's a little bit of a mix. We're trying to bring back, some of that character, historical character, celebrate it. We're also looking to create a kind of consistency. You'll see some changes in the windows, in addition to adding back the muntin patterns. We're kind of looking for a consistency of both like design language and proportion in some cases. So you're going to see some windows come in that are reflective of an existing language that's, 3 windows, wider in the center, 2 thinner on either side. We're kind of realigning top and bottom of some windows. Bring back, like I said, I think it appears there have been a few changes over the very long history of the house.
The idea is to restore the original pattern and bring back windows for that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We're also looking to bring back, adding some wood trim, kind of bringing back, again, a little bit more of the kind of historical detailing. And then third, we're just looking at quality. So we're, again, looking at replacing vinyl with wood. We're looking at restoring some areas. There's a lot of areas of damaged stucco and work we want to do there. So those are kind of our three aims as we go through. So I think maybe the easiest place to start on A900, we've got boards here. These are kind of similar to these are the same as the drawings you have in front of you. And I think maybe we can kind of go through these kind of photo mock-ups. We've got the historical references over to the side. And these simply just show kind of before and after in terms of the major facade movements that we're looking at. And if we need to refer back to the more context, we have the full elevations of the
Okay.
Yeah, improvement.
Yeah.
No, the historic images are great.
Yeah, so we basically look at the Tuxedo Park Historical Society and found some beautiful historical pictures. I think the owner, Carl, was showing you the book that we found in one of the bookshelves of the house. It was kind of
What a
like
great find.
amazing to find this book, like just literally handwritten, in the 1950s. You actually can see in that book some of the images that we didn't show was in the first page. There's an image with the house with the new additions. We think that the addition of this area here was an addition made probably like before the 1950s, like early, because of the historical pictures that you see in this board show like the original house here, and here. This is like
later,
this is a little bit like looking like what the house is looking now, and this is on the back of that. But just to walk through each of before and after, and the reason behind a little bit of why we're doing this. I think the guidelines that Claire, like was mentioned is like the main reason we're doing all this is just to restore the facade, restore the windows, make it look historical, find details in the home, and just bring that back. And the first before and after, number one, we see the three double hung windows in the stair area. Those are vinyl windows. They actually don't have any divided lights. So we are proposing to, in the same opening, replace them with three casement windows, just to make that from the interior of the house and exterior just consistent. You can see that every moving color is gonna match what we're finding is there's a white color, and the trims are gonna be a black color to match existing.
Sorry, it's going to be black or white, the mutants?
The mutants are white.
So why are they different? Why are they not? Why did you decide not to have them black?
Oh, it's because of the existing.
So right now, all of the wood windows that are existing have white muntins, black frames, sort of throughout.
I would
So there's a little
have
bit
asked the
context.
same question,
Yeah.
but I was guessing just from the before and after that answer. But then I wonder, the sash break, shouldn't it agree with not the framing, but do you see like on this picture?
With the
On
exterior.
Number
trim.
7.
Because you end up with this strange Madonna concert effect, with these.
Are we talking
Cross
about?
up-
Sorry, are we talking about this?
Number
first
7.
page?
Yeah.
Number 7, the center windows where it kind of creates a cross on the lower level.
Right.
On the lower level, yes.
Uh-huh.
So
That's-
that's existing. The lower
Right,
level.
so I guess my question is, so I understand the reason for the white muntins as opposed to having it all cohere, but if white, then I think the sash break needs to be white too.
Okay. Okay, just a sash break in the middle.
Do you see what I'm saying? So that then it coheres, you have
I would
the,
maybe paint one before committing to that.
and see how they look.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not
because
sure. I
those
think
were
it might
not,
divide it further too
those were
far
not
and then
changed
kind of
at
make the
all.
mintons look out of place since the thickness of it. would
Well,
be-
but look, Ryan, look at the central window.
Yes. No, I see your point. I just think the thickness might be an issue where it's not
Oh.
translating here.
Right.
So whereas the sash itself is going to be
Right,
this.
'cause
Sure,
right now,
sure, sure.
Everything that's white is a
Yeah.
very thin.
Right. So I think that might not I see what you're trying to accomplish. I just don't think that will happen.
And you wouldn't think
Um,
all black? Is that a
Well, that would be
possibility? Because that would be sexy
preferable.
and much better, in my opinion.
I mean, is there any evidence in the historic photos that they were all black? I mean, looking at it's black and white, so I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's tricky.
Not really.
That is tricky to find from the historical pictures.
Because a few of these, I mean, does that look black to you?
Because to me, the white looks
It's so hard to
new.
tell if black
It
and
looks
white
as if you know, and that's not
Well,
a look.
that's easy. We paint one to see what it looks like, and if it accomplishes that, sure.
Oh, well, it would certainly accomplish that. You mean if they were all black?
No, I mean if you were to paint the middle one white.
Oh, the
is
middle.
what
Oh,
you were
right, right,
speaking
right.
to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But, okay.
I mean, because it does seem too onerous to ask if half of the windows are already got white
Mm-hmm.
muntins.
Yeah, so the thing, we aren't proposing to replace every single window,
Mm.
so.
Yeah, so you're keeping original where possible, and then this is trying to match
Right.
that.
Exactly.
Okay, that
Which makes sense.
The
Yeah.
only place where actually there's black mountains is in this entrance area here.
In one.
And to be honest, I do like the black mountains more than the white.
Yeah.
I think we were just trying to like
Just be
keep consistent.
with the existing.
Yeah, it's not a deal breaker. It's just
And by the way, this question
I'm
about
happy to go either way
Oh.
here.
this question that I had about the sash breaks, like it seems less pressing here at number 6.
That's
There's something about number 7. I almost might suggest just not attempting to have muntins if you can't do it well, but on the side ones. But
But those are existing.
Those are existing.
The side ones are existing today.
no,
And 7.
no, the before.
up above, the upper
Oh,
level
above.
we're talking about.
Oh, I see
Oh,
what you're
above.
referencing. Gotcha.
That's
So,
what I was talking about.
Right. So, I mean, I would just sort of, there's something about that detail on number 7 on the second level that looks really problematic. But for instance, it's not an issue on number 6.
So is it that below it on 7 there are muntins on the exterior windows, but then we have a space between these 3, and that one has it, but this doesn't? That makes that not be very bad. So how there's none here,
Yeah.
and then we're trying to recreate this up here, but we have a space and muntins. So
Right.
is that what's turning
Right.
your eye off? No.
I think it's also just, it's a larger
Yeah.
surface area window, right, to have all of those.
Okay.
sort of
Well,
more
also
buttons
just-
in one location.
Yeah, and also having the kind of discordant scale of the different panes. I mean, it's just, I don't know, the whole, that.
Do you think it'd be
Well,
more
that is-
successful if they lose the muntins in the center window, replicating what's below? You'd have a better view too.
That is a good point that you raised, and it's actually another point of consistency in the house. The first floor divided lights are larger in scale
Yeah.
than the second floor. So I think that's what actually we're trying to do pursue as well. If you look at number 9, actually those divided lights are way bigger than the second floor, and it's just the nature of the house. It's,
But they're quite consistent, right?
Yes, yes. So coming
That
off-
looks very successful.
It does.
Yeah.
But it's the issue isn't that it's sort of kind of there. So yeah, don't lose sleep about it. It's
Pencil didn't even break. You're doing fine.
Yeah.
We actually love the comment of the black mountains. I actually
I think that'd be worth exploring, and then you kind of lose some of the
it
scale
will
issues.
elevate a lot more
Mhm.
the current house.
Okay.
Just to continue,
Yeah.
number 2, these interior areas is getting reconfigured to a new sunroom. This is southern exposure. We are trying to be consistent with these new windows, enlarging just the header and the sill area of the windows within the same opening, basically width. And to be
Which is
consistent
more-
with
yeah,
exactly with this traditional, actually one of the traditional original windows of the house is this style, which has like a picture window, no division lights, and like 2 double hungs, and that is present if you see in the elevation actually, the elevation drawing. In the current sitting room, it's actually one of the most beautiful windows of the house, which is this one here. The actual double hung has like the sash division, after a third up. So we're trying to make this, copy that basically, and make these new windows that style, which is different than this because this is, again, I'm not sure, I think like has some vinyl elements on those windows, by the way, and they're just like 2 casements with like one, picture window in the middle.
again, that this in number 2 that we're talking about,
Yes.
I mean, I love what you've done with the French doors. I don't see why you didn't leave the Munton arrangement exactly as it is, but just with double height to form a door, rather than this
Oh,
sort
I
of
see what you
great
mean.
area.
Yeah,
I think it would look much more correct. Or
Yeah,
I think you're absolutely, yeah, 100%.
Could you please repeat that comment?
so, if you, maybe you want to.
Oh, sure. So in number 2, if you're looking at the original before windows, how there's just these white Muntins, and how we've kind of divided it here with the black in keeping with the other window styles, we're suggesting if you just brought these straight down as is, and then continued the
repeated the scale.
repeated the scale. If you essentially doubled the window
Okay.
down,
Okay.
I think that would be
Okay.
wonderful.
Okay.
Good point.
Would it be more in line in the scale with the line?
That's everywhere else.
But I love
Yeah,
the French
it's
doors.
similar.
It feels really good, and it feels it became
I think
so
they were.
contemporary.
No, that's-
This might be a little. I think their idea too is try and keep within the original opening and not alter that.
Yeah.
So it might alter the scale a little bit.
But that's a great point, because our sort of, I mean, part of the driving force, I mean, besides obviously getting more light into the room and like extending that height, is to have it
I
correspond
love
to
this
the
little entrance.
adjacent
Is that the front door?
window, which has that scale more.
Which you can read from
Very
the south
angulated
part of
with the
facade when
gravel
you're, like,
coming.
hanging out in the back there, you kind of like see that. And we think these don't resemble at all actually with the facade.
And will you guys be relocating the AC units?
We're not
Okay.
under this
Wait,
application.
where are they? Oh, they're there.
Yeah, you can say, unfortunately, see them right there.
Yeah.
Too.
This is actually like the other side. Like this is not visible from the street.
Mhm.
Okay, number 3. This area of the facade has like this beautiful, Tudor style, cladding into the this area of the facade. So we wanna bring that like more into the facade. This is an area that's visible from the street.
This is right as you pull in.
Yeah, I will say too, on my site visit, it was so bizarre to me that timber was not there already.
Right, yeah.
It almost seemed like it was calling for it, saying, please finish me.
Well, just because you've got it in that sort of one secondary,
Yeah.
setback
Oh, it's great.
mass, right?
It's so beautiful.
It is, and it's beautiful, and it is that, and it,
It
it
really
goes in
frames out
other
the windows,
places,
so,
but
because
it's
right now these
not
are just
in
kind
that
of
front
floating.
end.
But is that trim that's there now? Is it just superficial? Because it's changed before it was an eave coming over. Yeah. So this is
Yes.
So you're planning to do the sort of superficial one
Yes,
on the
replicate
right hand
this.
side.
We're trying to detail that out within the stucco. So this is coming off, like what we can see. We're like actually looking at this today, coming off like 3/4 of an inch out, and we can see that it's not a structural element of the facade, obviously,
Okay.
because of just the top part of that window. Just you can see how the window starts at length. The beam is not an actual beam, so it is a cladding element.
I think the major comment I have about all of this, and specifically here, is that at some stage the roof was redone and the eaves were taken away. So they used to have beautiful, heavy, overhanging eaves, which gives it such character. They were stripped away, which stripped a lot of the beauty of the building. So I'm not suggesting you redo the roof and put gables back in again. That would be ideal. But maybe with this trim, the upper trim there, make it a little bit heavier and thicker to give the impression that the gable is more important, the upper edge. That would, I think, on both of them, and that would bring back what the original house
Great photo there of it.
used to look like. So it's a cheat, it's just superficial, but it would
Sure, but
May-
that's sort of what we're proposing, right? It is an aesthetic
exactly that would
concern, so if we can give it a little more gravitas.
well exactly is that everything you propose is all great, and it's just trying to get that what the original house would be the real key to success with this.
Okay. Is there any concern? I mean, love that comment, by the way. Is there any concern that then it's just gonna start looking inconsistent with like the other trends, or they don't really relate to each other? It's only because of that.
It's a suggestion that it's you may want to embrace, and if you don't embrace it, that's fine. But if you do embrace it fully, then to add as much areas as possible that looks aesthetically pleasing and helps, and not overdone. That would be great. And I don't think it'd be a great expense, you know, because it's not redoing, you know, it's not bringing the roof out and having an overhang.
it's trimming,
It's just a cheap thing. So that would be a.
Thank you for your comment. Number 4, these are the two vinyl windows that we're replacing. Obviously now with the new comment, they're showing 2 double hung windows with divided light in white. We're gonna revise that to be black painted.
Oh, well, that would be really handsome.
Yeah, I think there particularly the contrast with the black would look really nice.
Especially because they're sort of the only kind of
Right.
detail on the facade,
And
right?
the
So you
kind of
just-
vent
that-
above it is all black.
So we found this amazing historical picture showing this trellis work in the facade back here, and yes, why not? Let's just bring it back.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Live.
Love restoring that element.
It's actually like in 2-3 areas of the house. You can see it here. This is existing, and one of the cottage has one too. So we think this is
I have to say, I think this is just masterful and beautiful. I wish you could replace this thing that they put on at some point with exactly the same.
Would be nice.
With the trompe l'oeil thing, it looks really, I don't know.
It'd be more successful at ground level. Right now it's kind of just floating with the other door.
Yeah, and it's very public, like you see it, and I don't know when they put that on. I'm guessing in 1985, but
Yeah, we are proposing to bring it down so it's in line with the other door. Let's see
And
where
you would,
it is now.
you would
Because right now
match it
Now it's
with
floating
this
even more
pen
now, yeah.
to- no. Is that-
Well, the thing is that I don't know exactly when it was brought in. There is another element in one of the cottages as you walk in. Actually, which I have.
oh, the gatehouse over there.
Yes,
So
and
pretty.
it has the same, actually, arch window. It's actually it's an arch window to a garage. It's kind of like funny that they made it there, but it's actually beautiful, and it's one of the things that you don't notice in the house because the main house always attracts your eye.
Yeah.
But it is existing there. So yeah, just to know.
I like that it's been brought down to be in like better scale versus being kind of shoved up into these upper
Floating.
windows. Yeah.
Because what is that area? That's the sort of like service it.
Courtyard.
Uh-huh.
We hope to, in the next chapter of our work, get to that courtyard. It's in very, very bad condition.
The brick.
Yeah, and we have some big plans for that as well. But
I
because
think you
of
should share
the
them.
conversation we had
They're
earlier
pretty
today,
great.
we want to get started with the wooden windows because the timelines to order those
Right.
are so long. So we need to get that approval through before we can start work on the other things.
But you'll see us again.
But the courtyard is in terrible, terrible shape.
Yeah, so we actually, these windows here are staying as they are. We actually can look into painting those mouldings at the time being. And we're gonna replace these sliding doors with French, swing doors, outdoor swings. We're just eliminating and filling in that fixed window there. I actually think it's kind of interesting because I've never seen 2 French doors and just like 1 fixed window on the side. So it just doesn't really work for the interior layout with new. They were both new. It doesn't look like this historical window at all. It's actually it looks like a door that doesn't open.
Yeah.
That's what it is. With a column right in the middle.
Gotcha.
We discussed number 7. It's going to have double hung windows and 1 picture window. We're replacing within the same opening the picture window and the 2 double hungs on this bay area, like right here. Again, the moldings will match and be
It's
black.
much better.
That's a vinyl window right now, too.
Right, yes, those are vinyl ones. And then number 9 is this is actually that room with the beams. So this room is gonna just be completely retaken to what it was before. We hope to find these beams, and we are replacing these lighting doors in the center with French patio doors, and bringing down those fixed casements, and actually bringing the divided light pattern, which is not existing right now.
And fixing that strange paint choice here.
I'm sorry, what was
Oh,
that?
and
On
the
the-
handrail, the railing.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't know
the
where
railing-
that
the
came
railing.
from,
It's
but
very,
Yes.
yeah, it's very strange.
Correct.
It's very
Correct.
distracting when you.
Yeah.
Well, you see, it wasn't our idea painting the mountains black. You already had the idea of painting
Yes.
that black, so we can't take credit for it.
Yeah, at some point, someone decided they wanted a little white mixed in.
Yeah.
Just for
In
kicks.
the
yeah.
black, yeah.
Okay. And then on, I noticed paint colors noted here. on the
Correct,
bottom.
correct. So we're coming from the assumption that this house was a white house. And the reason I say that is because we, you know, like historical Tudor house or like farmhouses, you know, they go line wash in the early 1900s just to repel insects, and that was just the color being selected. Most of the houses in the park within this style, it's the wrong style, within this style that are white. So, you know, we think we should bring it back to that.
I think there's a
And like I
yellow
said,
kind
I
of
mean, you can see
1980s
that
element. to
there are a lot of
this.
areas that we need to rework anyway.
Yeah.
And so I think we just want to do a new, consistent, fresh, bring the whole paint facade, you know, the whole facade back to life.
One note on the choice of black. There's a color I would suggest looking into in Benjamin Moore. It's from their historic collection. I think it's HC 101 is the paint code, but don't quote me, but it's definitely HC something.
Oh, yeah. I'll
It is a
be
very
impressed if
rich,
it-
historically accurate black that I found very successful in the park.
Great.
Okay. Is that, you say in the historical collection, is that like a place where we can
Yeah, it's
reference?
Benjamin Moore.
Yeah.
It's readily available.
Okay, okay, perfect, that's great. We actually think that the current color is a little bit too satin
Mm.
for what we see.
I've just found a lot of the other blacks that I've sampled and tried to use in that context have been almost a little too flat, for lack of a better term, and this one was a particularly richly pigmented one that worked really well in a house like that.
We identified, Claire was talking about this, we identified like numerous areas where we're gonna just restore the trims, the balcony trims, the trims over all the house, chimneys need to be retouched. So, yeah, it's part of the scope.
Wonderful.
And lighting, you're not adding any lighting, you're just restoring the lighting? Just
We are not,
what's existing?
we are not in this current application.
And the guest cottage thing, are you changing anything there?
No, only the paint.
And the driveway is a beautiful gravel driveway, right? That's,
Yes.
so that's,
That is from, yeah.
and then you know, we talked about generators before. Do you have a generator?
There are two generators on the property, one old diesel generator that I think is ancient, I don't know the ground, sits in the basement. And then there's one generator that sits below kind of a ledge right now. You can probably see that from the road, it's not ideally located, but it's there.
And you'll be happy with using that.
We'll be happy to use
If you're
it,
looking
we're
at-
more able to certainly get
So
the
if you're
job
looking at the
done.
house, it's on this side next to the service area. There are some plantings kind of blocking it.
Yeah.
but-
We're gonna get also more towards that side. I would be very open to like covering that even further. It's not ideally covered right now, in my opinion. We just haven't been able to like even start thinking about that part of the project.
And do you think in the future you do geothermal heating or
Who knows?
and solar panels? Is that
We
something?
actually have solar panels on the property right now.
Uh-huh.
They are there. They specifically only heat the pool,
Ah, okay.
Mm.
and
That's
they
the
sit
start.
at like I don't know if you remember how it's, but the pool has sort of like this low stone wall, and then it kind of drops behind
Yeah,
it.
it's on this map here.
And it basically sits right behind the
right,
drop
right.
after the stone wall. There's, I don't know, 9 by 9
Room.
feet of solar panels.
So we are working on guidance for our solar panels,
Yeah,
and we'll
no,
get
I-
back to you.
Wow, fantastic.
Okay. Does anyone have comments, questions?
No, it's exciting.
It's very exciting. Yeah.
All thought out. All right. Well, in that case, I'd like to raise a vote to approve the plans for the Rivera House. The plans from Claire Davenport, architect, number G-000.00, A-300, A301, A302, A600, A900, and A901.
And the date?
Oh, is there a date on here? I didn't see.
It's October 27th.
October 27th. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimously approved. And to be clear, that is for the window and door modifications, replacing PVC with wood. Thank you. The paint, as described, and if that does change and you want to use that, let us know, but I think that's either is an appropriate choice. And the decorative facade trim and trellis work with unanimous approval.
Congratulations.
Great.
Congrats.
Thank you so much.
This looks like it's going to be great. Very excited
Great
to see
job.
it come together. All right. Stephanie, you're up.
Recuse, please.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience. We really appreciate it. John, if you want to use this one for reference, I made a couple notes,
Yeah, I
but it
will.
doesn't.
Just
Thank you, everybody.
Great to
Thank
share.
you.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
See
You
you.
are?
Oh, wow.
This really quick. So these are Olmsted plans for Mrs. Beard in June 1930. I've been looking very carefully at the different plantings. I actually found the key to what there was, but there's no evidence of existing plants that go with this key. So I'm doing a lot of further research. And what I did find is this. So this road, that's now Eastlake Road, was then called McAdam.
Mm-hmm.
And this, what's now Shastaloo Lane, was called Gravel Road. And there's a small entrance here into the property, which, if you look very carefully at this corner has been driven into. Actually, John mentioned that there are many fire engines that used to crash in there, right?
Well, no, actually,
It's a unique problem to have.
I recall in the late 90s when we renovated the water plant, there were some large trucks that had to make that turn. And I recall hearing that the wall was hit at the time. And then nothing ever happened. So I think what you find there now is remnants of that plus some settling since 97.
So what I found were the existing old, slightly pylonic pieces of stone. Does anyone have that picture that I sent in? I sent a picture of how
Right on the back of your,
used to look.
the application I sent you.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's one.
No, just go for
There's a
one with
couple
the
of them.
fire hydrant.
This
You
one?
see these clean
Yes.
pylons?
Mm-hmm.
One of these still exists down here.
Mm-hmm.
On the left one is still there. The other ones are all pushed behind, and there's basically like a pile of rubble there. And rather than closing this up, I would love to open it the way it was originally. And there's a sort of a fine path that leads to I actually personally uncovered this beautiful staircase that was completely hidden. It was like an archaeologist. Anyway, so there's a staircase that swings round and that could connect with this. And I'd love to make a path eventually, but I would never have even gravel. It needs to be totally natural, either just grass or, just something, certainly not paved in any way. But I would probably leave that for later. But I would just love to repair this and clean this up and have it open rather than close it with these stones that have just been thrown in that don't actually belong.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds great.
Do you have that broken?
All the pictures.
Yeah.
Broken
So if you look carefully, so that's the pylon, but these rough bits, they don't actually fit anywhere.
They're
They've
just
just been
thrown
taken from
in.
somewhere.
And just to
piled
block
up.
the spot.
Yeah, they don't belong there. So,
Mrs. Beard will be proud of you.
It's really so encouraging
And
to see
so-
someone
so
with
it's a
such a
big plan to
significant.
just see this,
Yes.
but thank you.
Great.
It's wonderful to see someone with such a significant property going to such lengths to restore it.
It
And you
is.
absolutely have to get that framed. That's so cool.
I know, it is
Thank you.
so cool that we have all
Ah,
the documentation.
So, do I have a second to approve this?
Second.
Or second, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimously approved.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And I will recuse myself. John, did you get a chance to print those, or should I just pull them up on my computer?
I have them here.
Okay, great. You can't leave now. We're out.
Are you presenting, John?
I'll share that one. Yeah. Maybe pass this down to Molly. She can share the other. And Ryan, that's yours.
Okay. So we've, it's actually interesting. I'm just looking at these now. We have black trim with white Mintons, and you're right, our center bars are white. They're a little different from their windows. I just noticed that. So we've done a painstaking restoration on all the wood windows. Fortunately, they were in very good condition. We removed our storms, restored them entirely. I'm going to get to the failing ones, but in that restoration process, on the first floor, and if you flip through to this page, where this is the existing shutters and the existing hardware on it. So in our restoration process, if you flip to the next page, you'll notice that there are these little anchors on all the windows. So I had no idea they were there. They're blocked by the storm windows with how they had them attached. So part of the approval that we'd like to get, and then on the back side of the house, and these windows, not the high one, and in the far window, all have the original hardware for the shutters still intact. So what we're proposing doing on the lower level of brick only is restoring the wooden shutters and putting it back to original. So that's part.
Scales of window, the smaller
So
ones, for
the
example.
smaller windows, no shutters.
Oh.
There's no hardware. It's just the larger double hung.
That's
These
sort of what I
ones-
was hoping would have been the case, but obviously if there had been, that also would have been good.
Right. So if you see on the front facade where there are shutters, I think it does look attractive. You may very well be right that they took them off for a reason. But in those first few photos, you can see the one on the right that looks kind of nice and finished and a little more handsome than just a carriage house.
Yeah, it does. But I also love the kind of counterpoint of the smaller ones.
As do I.
Right.
And they have no hardware on them, so they never would have had the shutters to begin with.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's our thought on shutters. I'll get you guys a mock-up and you can work on that. On the first photo is one of our failing windows. Unfortunately, in the 70s, in their ski chalet renovation, they decided to put in some horrific vinyl windows, all of which have failed miserably. The Muntins as well is kind of the issue that I'm having here. So they've changed the scale of the windows entirely, and on here, in this area and on the bedroom area where they've replaced these, is the only diagonal Muntin pattern. There's no recognition of them elsewhere on the property. So I think what I'm a little stuck with is it doesn't look terrible, but in terms of the design of the window, we were looking for some feedback on what we should do. Is it just restoring the 6/6 size that every other window in the house has? That likely would have been there. Do we clean up the diagonal Mintins a bit and kind of keep with that Tudor style? I'm stuck.
It is a difficult thing. There's no obvious answer. I'm split between the two. I think, if the Muntins were black, maybe, I don't know. It adds some quirkiness to it, which
can be nice.
Which is nice. It's always, like Rob was saying with the different windows and things. It adds character to it. So it's
Yes, and then the other window is on this page in the upper left. So again, we have a few window styles going on there. I'm not really sure what would be successful.
Just as a point of comparison, so our little gatehouse has a rectangular they're leaded, they're not wood, but they're rectangular Muntins on the ground floor, and then and this is original to the house, and then the diamond on the second. And it does sort of throw in there's a program, but just having that counterpoint is sort of
little.
Yeah, I don't know.
I kind of like the mix, with the diamond. It gives it some more complexity too than having kind of all be super uniform.
And you can see on the windows too, the construction of them. They are vinyl, but with wood adornments and then wood trim cladding it, and it's just, they've not held up the test of time.
What do you think, Stephanie?
I'm finding it kind of difficult just on the photos. I'd love to do a visit.
Oh, come on down.
I find it a bit difficult to just say.
I think the scale of the structure would really help speak to that too. I tried to get an idea in the first photo, but it's a challenge.
The other thing is that if you get, double or triple glazed, so that you don't need, I'm guessing there's sort of like a storm window overlay, because half of the beauty of any Muntin, and certainly a gesture like this that's very sort of forward, is to see the relief, to see the proud Muntin, and this, it almost looks like it's, mediated by.
They took a terrible vinyl window, stuck some wood over it, and it's
Right.
behind the glass on the interior.
There you go,
which
right.
You lose the whole effect.
Which always, yeah. So I think, I don't know, that would be my main, whereas down here you see these gorgeous windows where I think I'm seeing a relief, like the Muntin is coming out.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right.
Well, I think one of our Board of Trustees members would love you to keep the diamond tinker. That's the whole house is all about that.
I may have to take a look over there. That might be a good point of inspiration. Okay, so you guys are in favor of keeping the diamonds, is kind of the
I think
kind
so,
of
yeah.
vibe I'm getting.
Yeah.
I would say if the applicant, who is also the chairperson, is open to it, I think there's an argument to be made for it. I think it could be handsome either way.
I'm totally
Honestly.
open to it. Like I said, I'm absolutely stuck here, and we welcome the feedback.
Yeah, it's like that.
I think my pencil is pretty on the level. Also, on the board's feedback, there were concerns in replacing the failing skylights. We had a horrific leak. That is unfortunately a very nice art collection that was unscathed. But we've done a full replacement on these skylights. These are custom built. What's the brand? I think it's Luxor. I can send you in the spec sheet, but we redid all the copper work and slate around it, so these are custom
there we go.
designs per the board's suggestion.
I think they're very handsome. There's the old-fashioned sort of square ones.
Mm-hmm. It beats the plexiglass that was there.
Yeah.
You did these like awful, I don't know if you guys remember, there was these like all across the house, there were these awful like plexiglass.
Think like McDonald's.
Oh! You mean the bubble?
Yeah, the
like
bubbles.
like it's an indoor tennis court.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was
exactly
amazing
what
that they didn't leak. They were tarred in below grade on the roof, and I don't know how they lasted
we
as long as they
couldn't
did.
keep water. They just like literally would spew out water.
Yeah, these look great.
Yeah, they look great.
There's a couple on the backside that we need to get to once they fail, but our goal is to replace all of them.
What is the last
Oh,
photo?
yes, the last one. So if you look at kind of reference, let's see, it is the fourth to last page, this. So these are 3 of the original garage doors on the lower level. They're currently in a state of disrepair and covered in plywood scraps. We painted them black just to, kind of make them disappear with the trim work. What's behind 2 of them is I have 2 half doors. So collectively, we have 1 of 3 doors. The hardware is still original on it, and we still have all the original hinges and locks.
That's
So
amazing.
what we'd like to do is rebuild them back to spec based on this original kind of door. We had some quotes for replacement doors and doing something a little bit more modern. I don't think it really fits the house, and it's something that is going to take some time to do, but
I love the beadboard here and all these heavy iron, what do you call them? The straps?
the brace.
The brace,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's funny. I was talking with my door guy, and I think the brace was added after the
Oh,
fact.
just
I
for a
think
little-
the door started failing. and
Oh,
they tried
I
to pull
see.
it together.
Yeah.
That's beautiful tuxedo patina right there.
Okay, that's a patina, all right.
And this crazy eccentric window, this sort of...
No, but we're going to keep the windows.
Later also, wasn't it?
Do you
Oh,
think
is
this was cut in? Yeah.
No, I don't know.
I don't know. The edges are kind of rough, but it's consistent on the other door as well.
Yeah, okay.
If you look at the top, kind of not arch, but angle of it, that's a little less rough of a cut. You may have just had lots.
I just
of
love the
color.
eccentricity of it, and of course, any major castle building, whatever, it's many ages, and I think there's a beauty to that kind of haphazardness.
No, most definitely. And we were all gas lights, so I'm sure it was a functional
Yeah.
purpose. I'm not really sure what was inside there. We'll get back to you on plans for that, but we're open to suggestion on how to fill that space as well.
I love the idea of restoring it. It's so lucky that you have one full door to go off. So.
You're
They are
gonna
rough.
you're gonna keep the old
Yes.
one? That's so cool.
So we're gonna cobble together 2 doors to make one old one, and then on the other side have
To
2
a facsimile,
functional ones
right.
that are
That's
new
fantastic.
construction, but
Yeah.
you won't be able to tell the difference.
Beautiful.
That's great. That's
And the only
perfect.
problem is, like we discussed before, Orange and Rockland,
It kills me.
Yeah.
It's
I
just.
know, I saw
So
that.
my thought, I'm not sure if you can tell in the photo or not, but to the left, or actually, oh no, I see what you're talking about. So we've had some success with the privet hedges, keeping it below grade and just hiding the AC units. I'm thinking, there's a beautiful grassy knoll that I'll show you when you come onto the site to the right of that, so I was hesitant to do a planting and take away from the facade. We're thinking about it. It drives me nuts to have to see that. The other proposal that we were making, I don't think I got my paperwork in on time, so if we can't discuss that tonight, it's fine. But I submitted a landscape plan for our generator to go in. Where it will be placed is as close to that as possible, but on the opposite. So along here,
Around the
there's,
corner.
around the corner
Yeah,
where there's this large retaining wall. There's a naturally occurring berm. John, do you have that, or do you guys mind if I just
Sure,
come in here?
sure.
Thank you.
Just quickly, the 3 doors we were talking about before, for the record, what facade are they on? Just for reference?
They're on the street side facade, so I believe that's south.
God, that stonework
No, it's
is
not.
incredible.
I had it
So-
all repointed and redone.
Really?
It was a labor of love, but we were very lucky.
It's one of the most incredible moments in the entire building. It's just that, even though it's a sort of afterthought or below thought.
Just around.
Well, what sold me on the house in the beginning was just the actual stonework itself.
Yeah.
I couldn't reproduce it.
The
if I
money or
tried.
love couldn't. Yeah.
No, you couldn't. The entire basement is barrel arched brick on top of that with steel I-beams on the first and second floor supporting all of it. He was a partner in Carnegie Steel, so I think he had a little
Supply, no problem with the supply chain, yeah.
And are there any sinks in there that he did? The Manel metal?
I lost all the original fixtures except one that I restored. Do you remember that powder room downstairs, the green one? That's the only original sink that we had, and I had to kind of rebuild all the metal work around it, but that was long gone before I got there.
Because he's famous for all in the butler's pantries, the sinks look like lead. So, but it's this Manel metal that he invented. So if you drop the dish, it's not going to smash. And so it's there's a Kaikut. There's one, a beautiful one.
Bear with me 1 second here. I just want to pull this up.
Is it Ambrose or Amboise?
On Ambrose, A-M-B-R-O-S-E.
With an R, right? Because this is the carriage. This was the carriage house to Sally Sunny's house.
Right.
Okay, great. So the unit is a 26 kilowatt Generac, a very quiet unit, undersized for the home as far as I'm concerned. The placement, so just to orient ourselves, this is the pool side, the back by the woods. This is the street side. This is where we were just talking about those 3 doors. The electric service comes in here, and I'm proposing to put the generator over here. Here is a bit close and destroys this beautiful grassy knoll and facade. There's a naturally occurring kind of berm here from an old tree, so we'd have a natural insulator on this side, it insulated on that side by the retaining wall, and then we'd do natural planting that kind of ends up into the berm, so it kind of follows the topography of the landscape and creates a natural barrier.
Seems sensible.
That's the game. Oh, and we also were able, I don't know if you guys said, but you have to see it on your site visit, but I've been going on about this path. So we fully restored the walking paths from Sunny Rock. I found about 5 granite steps about yay big, buried under years of yard waste. So that's been restored, and we're working on restoring the terraced gardens on this side and all the walking paths
Amazing.
we've recently uncovered. It's been a labor of love.
It's lucky to have you.
Thank you. But yeah, and that brings us to current.
So what is the procedure?
So I can't, if we want to vote on the generator, I'd appreciate it. If not, that's fine, I can come back.
I think I'd appreciate a plan in place with an application before we vote.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we'll table that and I'll give you that application. The procedure would be to vote my replacement of the windows. We haven't proposed a specific one, but the feedback I got from you was to perhaps look for something historic and fitting. I would propose doing something from the place in Peekskill where they kind of have those classic windows. If not, I will send you specs for modern wood replacement. So I guess I would be looking for approval pending the specs for the window.
Was it not an informal review that we were doing? Maybe did we?
Oh, is it on this not?
Yes, I put it as an informal.
No, informal review.
I think that we were voting on it.
Well, if we're waiting on a couple of issues, should we just
Okay.
get that? I mean, in theory, everything sounds,
Yeah, I'd be happy
Great.
to come back with the appropriate.
since we have to take a vote
Yeah.
anyway on the other, let's just do it all at once. But
Works for me.
you know, it's all.
Mr. Chairman, this is
Oh.
Jared.
Hi, I didn't know you were still with us.
No, I'm still here. Just in terms procedurally, I'd recommend that you, of course, recuse yourself as chairman and designate a chairman for purposes of hearing your application. Of course, you can't participate in that vote. That goes without saying.
Of course, I am on the other side of the table. I was answering Rob's question. So who would like to be? I recuse myself. Who would like to be chairman?
Do we need a chairman if we're not?
Oh, yeah, you're
Voting?
right. We're not
No,
taking-
not today. When you take it up
When we do.
formally.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll come back next meeting. Someone will appoint themselves chairman, and you'll have the material.
Perhaps Christopher, you'd be willing to.
I can't say whether I'll be here at the next one, but
Oh.
I'd be happy to if I'm here, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it makes no difference to me. Whoever's
Just because you've
available.
chaired so many before.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we're feeling strong on the diamond ones.
If I think it would be handsome either way. I think the counterpoint is nice, and especially if you could see the kind of sculptural, effect of it with the light hitting the
On the
woodwork.
actual outside.
Yeah.
I think that's what would really make the difference.
Well, someone sang about it, right? Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
That they are.
All right.
Okay, I realize it's late, do we want to delay executive session on
we have to review
solar?
invoices.
Oh, yeah.
And review minutes.
If we could just at least get the invoices
Yep.
too. I know
I had a
something.
chance to review them today, everything looked in order to me, if anyone has any objections.
Not for me.
Not for me.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved. I'll come back on that one. Review of minutes. I believe we had a chance to review those and some edits were made. I'd make a motion to approve the minutes.
I was absent, so.
Oh, okay, so Stephanie will be abstaining. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimous.
Just for my record, what were the date of those minutes, the last meeting? I assume, or do you? I
Let me
didn't.
just double check because we had that weird month. It was
Was it
October 16th, I have?
I have
No?
16th.
Okay, I got it. Thank you very much.
Okay. At some point, I'd like to do an executive session about solar. The idea was to do it tonight, and then we don't have a Zoom audience, but to let them know so the community give us their feedback on that. Why don't we table it to next time so we can let people know and have an intended purpose?
Sure.
I mean, could we invite Jim Hayes, because he's been doing
That'd be great. I'd love that.
And he can explain this whole
I
thing
think
that the Board of Trustees would like to vote on,
Mhm.
but wanted our input, the
Yeah.
thing that I emailed on.
I think that'd be really useful. If you have his contact info and want to put that together, I'd greatly appreciate it.
So then the next meeting is,
The next meeting would be the Monday of Thanksgiving week. At this point, I don't have any applications.
Well, I'm not going to make people meet on the Monday of Thanksgiving for my thing, so we can wait.
Whatever you like. If we do get something, I'll let you know. But
Okay. I mean, they've seen it, so I can send documentation and get it approved. Okay.
So, I mean, are we thinking that let's try and not have any?
not officially.
Unofficially
we-
thinking that.
Officially, we haven't received any applications. I'm not gonna be the one to ruin that for everyone. So, if we get one, it would be the 20th.
And then the following one would be
First Monday in December.
4th of,
December 4th.
Okay, well, it is 8:12, and I'd like to call this meeting to an end.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.